Have you heard of the term Yakubian ape? They were 100% successful in destroying the indigenous population, eradicating almost 99% of that indigenous population, stealing the land, taking over large swaths of the land that did not belong to them or any of the colonial occupiers at the time. And
who did it belong to? Other natives that took it from other people? Like, what? Do they think that they were engaged? There was like a giant fucking market? Like there was a big exchange for land that all of the natives went to, and they're like, oh, well, who's gonna, run the whatever land today? It's like,
if we had a Nuremberg trial right now, Benjamin Netanyahu, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump would all be, frankly, they'd probably be hanged at the gallows.
Okay.
The NYPD, they're not a great squad of folks.
What are the bad experiences that you guys living in the East Village or living in guaranteed the most expensive parts of Brooklyn or Manhattan, you guys are having adversarial encounters with the NYPD? I don't believe it.
The fact that you were able to achieve upward mobility is a sign of failure of the system they want. Yeah.
What?
No.
What upward mobility? Is he a trillionaire? This guy comes from basically a billionaire family. What upward mobility? Hello?
Oh, that's not even the case. I am literally the poster boy for American excellence.
Oh my God, dude. Are we being...
I am the straight up poster boy for the American dream. Okay?
The American dream of... I'm sorry, hold on. Not to toot my own horn, okay? But when I think of America... And I think somebody said America is a nice place because it allows you to be the best version of yourself. Okay. It's got a lot of problems, but there's that, right? I'm pretty sure my life fits this pretty well, and that my upbringing was not necessarily the best, not the worst. Okay. I have at least one immigrant parent. There was like a new technology that I was able to take advantage of. And then without even a college education, obviously no generational wealth or anything like that. Like I think I've made something decent of myself. I feel like my life is like a decent story for American exceptionalism, such that if I wanted to be a conservative or a libertarian, I would talk about my upbringing constantly. From carpet cleaner to international streamer or whatever. 100%. You were born a Nepo baby that stole citizenship from the U.S. because your mom came here to give birth to you, took you back to Turkey, another country, raised you for 18 years, brought you to the U.S., injected you into college that you didn't have to pay for, injected you into a media company that you didn't have to work for, that you didn't have to work to build, that your uncle ran, and then you were injected into a Twitch environment where somebody else, me, helped you build a career. That you're every single, you are the American shit story where everybody's like, ooh, that's like kind of the gross aspect of America, that rich people can come here, pretend they were ever working class or poor, and then LARP is something they're not in order to try to, shit on the country using these weird external anti-American perspectives. But, hey.
Come from a relatively well-off immigrant family background.
Relatively well-off? Oh my God.
Their finances are in tatters by the time I get to college, but it doesn't matter.
Their finances are in tatters? What does he even mean? We just lie here? Okay.
Because I basically win the fucking lottery.
Yes, that is correct. You did win the lottery. He won the lottery at birth or conception. Like what?
I'm a business owner. I'm a jobs provider. All of this stuff, right? I'm stimulating the American economy in very meaningful ways. I've made it. I'm unbelievably assimilated. So technically...
Oh, new talking point. He has to do the full screen thing whenever he's got his next speech that he's giving. God, it's so... Oh my God, watching your streams like this are so fucking cringe now.
I am everything that these guys are supposed to point to as a success story. But the problem is, I also understand that while I made it, and I'm immensely fortunate, that doesn't mean other people also have an easy go at it. That's the difference. If you make it and you recognize that this is not an opportunity given to everyone else, that it is a lie, that meritocracy is a fucking lie, people lose their goddamn minds. Okay? They lose their fucking minds. Thank you, Closed Presence, for the 100 community gifted subs. But that's it.
Kill me, bro.
That's it. If I sat here every day and told you, if I can make it, you can too. Look at how tough my job is. Look at how big of a business owner I am. Like if I said that and then I shilled some kind of bullshit course about how you too can also make money and how the possible...
Wait, so I don't understand. Is he like the American dream, the American story, or was he a Nepo baby who got really lucky and nobody else can do what he did?
possibilities in America are endless, nobody would be chirping about it. I wouldn't be getting yelled at by liberals. I wouldn't be getting yelled.
It's so cringe, just because I know he's so insecure about his age. The fact that he does this, like all the weird lingo and everything, the fact that he types, somebody pointed this out now and I can't unsee it. You notice how when he types on all of, even that YouTube comment that I bet he has an editor that typed that for him, but even that YouTube comment he left in Ryan Getty's video and all of his typing on Twitter, it's always like in all undercase letters, so he's like a hip, cool Zoomer dude or whatever. Oh, God.
All that by Republicans. The thing that breaks them is that someone who has actually been tremendously fortunate can be unbelievably honest about that. Okay? Luck played a significant role in this every step of the way. Yes, I worked very hard, but it doesn't matter. Luck played a tremendous role in this because I understand that the Oklahoma teacher that has to drive Uber deliveries at night also is working super hard. Probably a lot harder than I ever have worked in my life. I am unbelievably lucky. I'm unbelievably privileged. Okay? My point is, we should design a system, especially because we have enough wealth at this point. We have a lot of technological improvements in our lives that have made it easy for people to work less and still have the same output, to have a little bit more autonomy in their lives. We have stuff, okay? We have things already. But what we don't have is stuff necessary for survival, stuff necessary for upward social mobility. We don't have access to housing, healthcare, education, all the way up to college. These are the real problems that Americans are facing every day. We have the resources. We don't distribute them evenly. That is my anger. That is my frustration. And when someone who is successful says shit like that, other successful people get very mad. And they're attacked.
Because nobody says this, by the way. This is why I appreciate, at least, like the socialists in society. Nobody in the Democratic Party seems to acknowledge that coming from a different zip code or coming from a different family background can be a massively determining factor, or a massive determining factor on like how successful you're in life. Like nobody in the United States was ever saying this. Like it was literally only the socialists that came along to point out that sometimes you have a huge advantage based on your upbringing or a huge advantage based on the, you know, wealth of your parents and everything. And that sometimes it is really hard for poor people to climb out of the kind of weird cycles of poverty. I'm so glad we finally have socialists pointing this out. Thank God. Hey, if there's ever like a journalist that wants to like do their fucking job and actually have real questions for these people, if you really wanted to own some of these weirdos, all you have to do is just run down a list of like every conflict that non-Western states have been involved in and watch them justify every single one. I went back and I rewatched some of the Hasan stuff related to the Crimea River thing or whatever. What was actually happening there was Hasan was just fully 100% in favor of Russia taking over any part of Ukraine. Like he had all the justifications lined up and everything. Like he was totally fine with all of it. The only thing that changed was that the popular support was so against him that he had to kind of adopt the other position of like, well, maybe Russia shouldn't. But if you were to ask these people anything about like any other non-Western country that invaded or attacked any other country, they would always justify it. Well, fuck, actually, okay, hold on. Can I watch stuff I want to watch now?
Yeah.
So this podcast got linked to me, I guess a minute and a half. I don't even know who the fuck these people are.
I want you all to know I specifically came on the podcast because I saw that y'all was in Hasan's orbit and I was like, I have to clout chase.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we'll get you there.
No, that's fair.
Thanks.
We have him on speed time.
Well, to be fair, I did meet his producer in China.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Marge.
Yeah.
No, Eric. The interview
His producer is Mark.
His interview producer. Come on, you don't know all these people. You don't. You
Middle
ain't
of
tapped
a
in with
Hasan
like
dictation. Yeah.
You ain't tapped into someone I've never met.
Yeah.
Like me.
No, it's true. It's true.
Look at my proletariat.
It's Eric.
Eric,
Did I miss something?
he live in China.
You're telling me Hasan Piker has a specific producer in China?
Yes.
At all
for his,
times.
For his interviews.
Someone tell Jesse Waters
Is
right
it
now.
like his translator or some shit?
No, Eric doesn't speak Chinese.
I have no idea what's happening.
Well, he lives there. He's learning. His girlfriend goes to school there. She's Korean.
What's he doing for Hasan? There's already March. He has a producer already.
He does the research for the interviews.
So you see how that's not a producer?
I don't know what any of these words mean. I've been doing
Got
it
it.
myself this entire time.
Sounds
Yeah.
No, I think he
Wait.
described him as the interview. Dante Munoz described him as the interview producer. So I'm kind of using Dante's words, and I'll throw him under the bus.
All right. Well, listen. Moving
I
along.
love.
Does this girl a little bit, come with me, moot.
Okay.
Look like a white version of Extra Emily. A little bit. Am I
Yes.
Thank you.
No, I'm
Yes.
giving it to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's
Thank
in
you.
the cheeks. It's in the cheeks.
Yes, 100%.
Listen, moving
I
along.
love the state of the American left.
So this person that was brought up, Eric Hovagim, is apparently Hasan's producer. I don't know how much will.
I've heard
can
this
do
name before.
So he's a guy. So he's an American that fled they quote unquote escaped apartheid South Africa. I don't know what that means because his family is white, so I don't know what it means when they say escaped. But they escaped apartheid South Africa. They came to the United States. He went to UC Berkeley, got an engineering degree, founded a startup called, I think, PogBet. After it hit a $20 million valuation, he sold it, got a little bit politically active in Arizona. Apparently it was burned a little bit after working with Bernie, and then decided to move to China and has been living there full time and is now Hasan's interview producer. And this is a 2-hour podcast he did a couple weeks ago. So this is him.
The next day, the police came to our door in the hotel we were staying at. I was like, oh my God, we're going to prison. Oh, okay, easy, bro. You have the face surveillance technology. Use the fucking fingerprint scanner or whatever you got going on in this shit. Yeah, no problem. And we sit there and we literally go through it like frame by frame. He's like, which camera do you think it was? Do you think it was one over here? I'm like, I thought you were supposed to know this. I thought this is a surveillance state.
Believe in a social credit score?
No, not before coming here.
Okay.
But now that I'm here, I'm like, I wish they had it.
Like you want
I'm like, dude, those people on e-scooters running down the sidewalk, almost driving me over. I'm like, they need it. They need it.
So now only you got like cashing, like shit, like whatever those like poly market shit, like shit of the world companies.
What's more dystopian than that?
They see videos every day on Twitter of little kids being bombed, and they're thinking, what the fuck are we doing? What if we just didn't fucking bomb them? And what if we just reduced my fucking rent? I think it's become much more permissible, at least in America, to describe yourself as a socialist.
Defense contracting company like Lockheed.
Friend of the show, Raytheon.
Yeah, Raytheon. Friend of the show. Sponsor of the show. We offended a lot of people on this podcast.
Yes, let's go.
This guy also, did or tries to take credit at least for doing a lot of the video advertising for Mamdani.
I feel like there was like 50 people who were like, I made Mamdani. It was me.
Well, no, for real though, no. I think this guy and I think Morris Katz is.
Those are the big guys?
Yeah, everybody else is whatever. Hassan or whatever is not relevant,
I mean, look, you seem to be in a very Chinese time in your life.
I don't. What are you talking about?
Where is this?
Want to see my Chinese rings that I'm wearing?
I mean, your own get up, the fact that you moved here.
Yeah.
So you're in a very Chinese time in your life. I guess why? I guess is the question. Like, why did you move from the United States to China? What was it that you were seeing happening back home? Why this move, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of reasons. The easy answer is my girlfriend wanted to come to China and study at Fudan University, get a master's degree at Fudan, learn more about international public policy from the Chinese perspective. And I think that's like the very easy, like, oh, well, my girlfriend dragged me here. But I think the real answer, at least in my heart, was living in the United States. You, every 2 to 4 years, are in this constant battle of, okay, which annoying centrist Democrat do we have to support against the guy who wants to do unlimited genocide on the world? And like,
I will be honest, the past year has probably been the strongest time in my life where I had like the feelings that I had kind of in my in my high school, where I don't feel like I'm one of the guys. I kind of feel like I'm a little bit out of place here, where it really does feel like everybody comes from insanely wealthy backgrounds of like insane like intergenerational wealth and privilege and shit, and then are all like on this weird foreign funded op. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just feels really fucking weird sometimes.
Centrist Democrats like, I only want 99% of genocide on the rest of the world. And it's like, you have to do this silly little dance back and forth. And then every so often you'll be like a glimmer of hope. And I'll be like, maybe you'll have a Zoran Mamdani come into action and give people a glimmer of hope. But even then, Zoran gets into office. And as a consequence of the systems that are in place, he still has to keep on the billionaire Zionist police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, or else the entire police force is going to turn their backs on him.
The Zionist police commissioner? Is she sending police officers to Israel?
Like what happened with David Dinkins, like what happened with Bill de Blasio. And it feels so frustrating, so claustrophobic. And at the same time, I go back to my home state of Arizona. I go to a movie theater and I hear a loud bang outside, and I'm afraid that it's like a mass shooter in the theater as well. Like there are so many like little material issues that just feel unsolved and that you cannot trust your neighbor. Politically, there's no meaningful progress, even though every so often like a good Democrat gets into power and starts to push back against the establishment. And before working in politics like this, I was working at a think tank called New Consensus that was writing climate policy. It wrote the Green New Deal, and it was trying to write the successor to the Green New Deal called the Mission for America. And it was laser focused on figuring out what sort of industrial policy America could implement so that it could be a leader, not just in generic manufacturing, but manufacturing like the highest quality goods, the semiconductors, the solar panels.
Like, look at this weird thing. I've noticed this more and more now. Like, the socialist stuff is like a kind of economic thing, but it's not really economics. It's like a social program. Like, they'll talk about industrialization and the workers and maybe even unions, but it's like, it's not really about that. It's like they use economic stuff as like a vector for political or social thought. It's very weird. And he's doing it right here, you know?
The wind turbines.
Like, he just complained about crime and a lack of political progress in the United States. Like, so I joined a think tank and we started talking about manufacturing. And I was like, how? What? Okay.
Hydrogen fuel cells, like the highest level of manufacturing we have in this current day. And during that time, the folks running the think tank were really laser focused on studying the production model of the South Korean dictator, Park Chung-hee. And, you know, he had his issues. I will never defend him because he had a lot of issues, but he did a really good job getting the sort of like effectively the oligarchs together, the capitalist class of South Korea, and saying, listen, right now, you're a billionaire as a consequence of doing speculative trading. You are trading on like rice futures or something. I'm either going to throw you in prison or you can start making toasters. You can start making like, I don't know, radios, something a little bit higher than just speculative assets, speculative trading. And they're like, okay, well, I don't want to go to prison. I guess I have to do that. And they started doing this over and over again until they got higher and higher and higher up the supply chain, and eventually started making some of, at the time, the highest quality goods in the world with the Samsungs, the LGs, the Hyundais. They started making these really high quality products. At the think tank, we studied this model relentlessly. However, once you dig down a little bit into it, you realize a lot of the capital that was invested into these companies was simply from the United States. And the U.S. wanted to make sure that South Korea could develop as a counterpart to rival the North, which they just split up during the Korean War. And so they injected literally like billions, tens of billions of dollars into this effectively breakaway state to ensure these industries popped off, that they did this manufacturing miracle. And I thought this was really cool. This was neat, but like you can't always do that. So it really inspired my curiosity to look beyond the four walls of the South Korean state and look a little bit west to what China had done and try to learn more about how China went from, a lot of like rural villages, an incredible amount of poverty, and through the miracles of the revolution, through, of course, a horrible civil war, and eventually into like the reform and opening up era, how it managed to play within the confines of this really violent system the United States has implemented into the global order of the world, and figure out how they could game that and make sure that they could not only like access like global capital markets, but also make their own residents so much richer. And we like to say it's like a miracle that they pulled 800 million people out of poverty and hundreds of millions out of extreme poverty. But like, that was planned. That was all 100% planned. That took decades and decades of coordination between all of these various entities. And I wanted to come here to learn more about that in person. I would love, to go to the factories and see the fields, see the farm workers, see what it takes to produce the world's best electric vehicles, to understand how they went from producing basically no cars to like almost all of the cars in the world in like a decade, which is insane.
It is insane, yeah.
And that really drew my ass in here. I was like, oh my God, they're doing something.
This is like a macro econ history perspective that, I don't know how true it is, but one thing that's a little bit annoying is, again, because we study history in such a linear fashion, I think that people take for granted what it's like looking at history retrospectively instead of being in the present, right? When you study history, it comes across as like, this is how things went and things could have never been another way. Like, this is just, well, obviously, doing the MLK civil rights stuff would obviously lead to civil rights. He would obviously get assassinated. Obviously, Nixon would win the presidency. Obviously, like, it just seems like, oh, these are so obvious. But at the time, you don't really know, right? Anything could happen. Maybe it all fizzles out. Like, and people never give enough credit to that, I feel. I say this because a lot of countries around the world after World War II made this insane fucking mad dash towards like mass industrialization, and they all get credit for it, despite the fact that, sometimes millions or tens of millions of citizens have to die on the way towards industrialization. But they all did it after the United States did it without killing millions and millions of people in the process. And so, it's cool, I guess, that Russia and China and South Korea and Vietnam, all managed to industrialize. But the United States already demonstrated that it was possible first. And the United States did it without having to kill, 100 million fucking landlords to do it. And sometimes it feels a little weird that I don't think you could talk about the United States' success in manufacturing with any of these people without them immediately blaming imperialism or colonization or whatever else. But then they're so eager to give credit to all of these like authoritarian regimes that have to fucking basically have, you know, a tenth of their population die in order to achieve their industrialization. Like, well, yeah, it had a few bad things, but man, they were so fast. It's like, I don't know, man.
Right. I got to figure out what's going on. So hopefully I can glean a little bit of wisdom, learn a little bit from the Chinese development model, and bring at least some bits and pieces back to America and hopefully civilize those goddamn Yankees a little bit, you know?
Like really? Like China, even, and again, not to take away anything from, I'm sure these countries did, you know, do a lot to modernize everything, but like, how much China intellectual property is built on stealing, just blatantly stealing U.S. intellectual property? Like, I know Trump kind of fucked all of our conversations about China being fucky, but like, that was a real thing. This is not like a meme that China just like blatantly ripped off and stole so much American IP. And it's like, but I mean, how do they manage to do all of this? Like, okay.
Figure out a little bit of manufacturing prowess from that.
Yeah, I think you kind of made a really interesting point that I think is getting a little bit more popular these days, which is you're pushing back a little bit on the narrative of China, which is, of course, skewed in a negative way in mainstream media. And you have your normie who thinks of China as this communist country with censorship and lack of freedom.
Yeah.
And it is so fucking annoying that like all the complaints I had about the lefties, you know, like I can't use the word, like even calling somebody anti-Semitic feels cringe as fuck now because they use anti-Semitism so much when they were woke progressive people. And then same thing with like calling somebody fascist, right? When people like Vosh were saying like, well, Scalia was a fascist. I'm like, okay, really? That's where we're at. And now like when I call anybody a fascist, it's cringe. Conservatives fearmonger the fuck out of China. Like I feel like the average American I don't know. I bet the average old American today, like if you were to ask them, do you think that if you went to Beijing, would there be like a risk of the Chinese government like abducting you or whatever? Like, I feel like 40% of everyone would say like, yeah, that's a real risk. That's a real. It's like, no. As an American citizen, you're not gonna get fucking abducted in fucking China. That's never happening. You're crazy. So like the fear mongering is too crazy. But then it allows for people like this to come through. Like, actually, China's like so amazing and so many. They don't really have any fucking problems. And like, well, come on.
Control.
Yeah.
But you got the flip side being like, well, they're doing something right? So if you even if you accept that, you have to look at the other side. It's like, well, it's not like they're just head down walking around the streets like and crying every day and with like sandals and no shoes kind of thing. Like it's not like that. It's walk around.
Yeah, go outside.
just walk around. Right?
Yeah.
Something is going right.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. There's a lot of negative sides to this as well that we can probably talk about even more. Living here for so long, but that's everywhere. There's no perfect. There is no harmonious place in the world. There's not.
Living here for so long. Wait, is this podcast in China? Is this an American podcast?
He moved to China.
No. I know the guy did, but is this a podcast in China? Is this all? Jesus Christ. Okay.
It's not perfect. There's a lot of negative sides to this as well that we can probably talk about even more. Living here for so long, but that's everywhere. There's no perfect. There is no harmonious place in the world. There's not one.
God.
That's just perfect. So. Yeah, I think that's the narrative that I see getting more traction these days, which is being like, okay, you might believe the negative side of it, but there's going to be a flip.
Chinese people can speak English. Seem a good one. Did you know that? I think there are more. I read this a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it's true. There are more English speakers in China than there are in America.
I know that that's true for India.
Well, then it must be true for China.
So let's look at the flip side and just see what it is.
My favorite new thing is like people are like, oh no, China's not even communist anymore. It's like state capital.
Well, 2 people in chat said that's not true, so fuck you guys.
True in India.
It's like, okay, then implement that in the United States. If you love capitalism so much, do that in the US then, bro. Let's do that. Let's run that up. That's a pretty cool way of developing things.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the easiest way of like dispelling myths. So they're just like, go outside, go touch some grass here in China, go see the fruits of the labor of the last like 100 years of Chinese development or the last 5,000 years of Chinese development. That is so cool.
Yeah. We always talk about that a lot on the show, actually, because we have a lot of people come on the show that's from abroad or the States, and they say the same thing. They're always like, whoa, this is mind blowing. But then you also see a lot of content creators that say the same thing. So it's not like it's news to anybody that is watching or just experiencing this type of content. It's not news. It's not like a surprise.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that it sounds like what you plan on doing is, okay, what's the next step after that? Yes, you get to the first tier cities of Shanghai or Shenzhen or even Chongqing, second tier, where it's the wow, it's like amazing, right? But then kind of go next level, go to third, fourth tier, go a little bit deeper in, find out what's behind the curtain and see what it's like. It's going to be different, but how different? What's the negative? What's the positive? That you'll have to dig in. But I think that's something that's interesting that's worth talking about.
100%. No, recently I went to was it Zigong, where they make all the lanterns. I thought it was going to be a sleepy little village, and then I went there and it was like I don't know how many millions of people. That's not my new running joke. Like, oh, I'm excited to go to this like tier 4 Chinese city. It's going to be a sleepy little village of 8 million people. It's like, what the hell? There's so many people here. This is crazy. And then you show up.
I don't know enough about the cultures of any of these places to say, but one thing that China seems to have been able to do well is it feels like they're able to maintain their own like culture and maintain their own, like the government obviously wants to do all of their whatever crazy fucking CCP shit. Like the government is able to take stuff from the rest of the world, is able to integrate to some extent with the rest of the world while still kind of maintaining their own Chinese identity, whatever the fuck they got going on over there. Whereas when I look at places like, say like Japan seems to have a really difficult time maintaining its own culture and like opening up to the rest of the world. I don't know. Maybe that's not like a super fair, accurate thing from afar. But I guess I don't see... One thing I'd be curious about is, like, do travelers in China run into the same types of stigma that, like, travelers in Japan run into? Because these guys are living in China, and it sounds like none of them speak any Chinese at all, is the impression I get. And maybe do Chinese people just not care? Whereas I feel like in Japan, you can catch a lot of heat for stuff like that if you don't even make an attempt to learn the language, and if you're just, like, clearly an American.
It's like, it's not just like a village. They'll have like a little ancient town like next to like the river or something. It's very beautiful. It's preserved. It's gorgeous. And then they'll have like, oh yeah, and then here's like the downtown area, and it looks newer than Shanghai. It looks newer than Chongqing. It's like, oh my God.
Well, because it probably is new.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so cool though.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true too. There's like Chinatowns in every fucking city on the planet. But like, I don't know, are there Japanese towns? I don't know. Yeah.
And you go to like these otherwise rural areas, and like if you do that in the United States, for example, every summer in throughout middle school, high school, my parents and I would take a road trip from Phoenix, Arizona, which is where I was raised, up to this tiny little town in the southwest corner of Wyoming called Kemmerer. And it's right next to another town called Diamondville, and there's Cokeville right next to it. Tiny little towns, literally like 2,000 people in it. And it's the fossil fish capital of the world. And it's like, it's genuinely, it would be like a, I don't know, tier 7 Chinese city or something. I don't know. But you go there and you see the level of development in what were otherwise very wealthy towns. Like this is literally the town where JCPenney started. Like it is a multinational corporation now, a big clothing manufacturer, a big distributor, a big logistics company now. And it used to be one of the biggest producers of coal in the world. It was this bustling coal town, and it's been completely forgotten. All of our friends who lived there lived in either single or double wide trailers, literally like in trailer parks. They lived in effectively what we would see as abject poverty. And they made okay money, all things considered, because buying and selling fossils or like digging fossils and selling them was like a fairly lucrative business for them. But even with a little bit of money in these tiny little towns, they were completely forgotten, not just by the federal government, but also by the state government too. They had just completely left them to rot. And seeing that decay firsthand feels so jarring to me when I go to these smaller Chinese cities of 1 million people or whatever and be like, oh my God, no, there's like stuff going on. There's cranes building entire like skyscrapers and stuff in this like this sleepy village.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
Smaller
It
Chinese.
is, and it is, to use the word you said, it is jarring because a lot of these towns in the United States are just being absolutely gutted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is no intention to revitalize or rebuild these places. There's no appetite for that.
Why do you think that's the case?
I don't know. Like I've said this before, I don't view America as a democracy. I think it's an oligarchy right now. I think that is more descriptive of the actual system.
Yeah.
And so I think there's no incentive. There's no financial incentive for these people to build infrastructure in these places unless maybe they're building a new AI data center there now. And then now they'll pour money and all the residents there are like rising up and be like, we didn't vote for this. It's making our electricity bills all this higher. So it's like, unless that's the case, I don't think there's any incentive for any of these powerful people to actually pour money into these places.
Yeah.
Incentive, that's the word.
Yeah.
There's no capital incentive for them to go in and invest in the material conditions of the people. It makes a lot of sense to have your labor force concentrated in small pockets of the country. Usually the tier 1, tier 2 cities of the United States, the New Yorks, the Los Angeleses, the San Franciscos, the big towns where they can concentrate a labor force. And then as we've seen during COVID, I think they found a lot of the capital owners, the company owners, found it increasingly more profitable, more easy to have these labor forces in newer developing markets, but still urban city centers, such as like Austin, Texas, Denver, Colorado, parts of Florida as well, where they were able to buy out very cheap offices, get people to relocate and pay them still like decent salaries while making a ridiculous, ungodly amount of money. And they didn't have to pay their workers as much anymore. And I think that really incentivizes development in these higher tier cities, if you want to call them that, but in sort of forgotten like smaller towns, the villages of America in like Appalachia, for example. If there are no natural resources to extract, what's the point of the capitalists going in and sort of investing any money in that? And actually, before I got into any of the political stuff, I think a radicalizing thing for me was towards the end of college, I founded a startup and I raised some capital. And one of the most jarring things for me was meeting with venture capitalists in the United States and seeing firsthand that they were not interested in a meaningful long-term vision for the United States. They were simply interested in whatever could net them the highest investment, or the return on investment, as soon as possible.
What? Venture capitalists looking for a return on their venture capital?
Which makes sense, right? That's what they're supposed to do. That is like the name of the game. You're supposed to throw in $100 and pull out $100 million. Like you invested in Palantir on day one, sort of thing. You made your bag. You get out. You go live your life on Miami Beach or whatever. Like that's what they're supposed to do, which is all well and good. But there is no scenario in which that leads to like EV development. There's no scenario in which that leads to semiconductors becoming smaller and more affordable. There's no scenario in which that leads to meaningful long-term technological process, with the exception of using state-funded programs to bolster the existing tech apparatus, such as even like the components in our cell phones, the components that led to the internet. Like these were all government-mandated programs that ended up being used by private individuals, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad, oftentimes for bad, to then have the treats that we know today, like the cell phone. And if there's no financial incentive for immediate gain, of course, they're not going to invest in smaller regional towns.
Hence, we see the failed high-speed rail project from LA to San Francisco.
You know what's really sad, actually? In college, this is really embarrassing. Viewers, please feel free to make fun of me. In college, I was part of the Hyperloop team.
Oh, were you?
I was an engineer.
Bruh, this guy is the richest again, white family, came from South Africa to the United States, goes to fucking Berkeley, sells a company for $20 million when he's like 25 years old. Holy shit.
So I was, God, bro, this is, I feel pain even bringing this up, but I was part of the Hyperloop team at my university, and we were so bought into that thing. We were like, sure, we're going to go San Francisco to Los Angeles, 27 minutes or whatever, like 700 miles an hour. We're going to vacuum out the air from a tube. We're going to shoot that train down that thing, and it's going to get there so quickly. And we realized probably about a year in, I was like, this isn't viable. This is such a waste of energy.
Why?
Let's just build the train, because it takes so much energy to suck out all of the air from the tube in the first place, and then
keep it out.
Not only
I'm sorry, unless I'm missing something, okay? And listen, I'm the more pro-capitalist person, okay? Even in these lefty spaces. Unless I'm missing something, the Hyperloop tube thing always sounded fucking retarded. I just don't understand why that over a fucking subway. I don't know. I never got that. I never understood that.
You know what's even more retarded is the data centers in space. I genuinely don't get at all why it would be done.
Well, the
Unless
data
it's
centers in
just to
space
raise
is nice
stock
because you have
price.
literally infinite fucking area to build, right?
That is not an issue on the ground, though. And you have so many problems.
Well, clearly it
having
is an
coolers.
issue on the ground because everybody gets fucking ass pained.
No. Well, you get ass pained because they're just trying to have cheap power down on the ground.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much you can solar power it, I guess, in space or whatever, no?
Well, you can solar power it on the ground. Like, there's so much land that these fucking people could buy if they chose to, and like, I don't know, fucking Montana or something along those lines.
Is that name referring to Elon, or is this guy from South Africa? No, this guy is from South Africa as well. They're all expats or whatever the fuck, yeah.
I'm telling you, Moot, if you look into the space data center shit, it's just all 100% snake oil, all bullshit.
I've already looked into it. It's not feasible right now, but they're trying to move towards it in the future and figure out how it can be feasible. And it's mainly about the cooling, not the actual fucking.
I don't think the cooling is like the thing you look into it is that like the cooling seems harder for. I don't think cooling is the problem at all. It's just a matter of like launching it up there and then maintaining shit or whatever.
No, the cooling is the main problem.
I don't think cooling is I don't think cooling is a problem at all. It seems like it, but I don't think it is.
You are no, that is you're insane. Yeah, like how much power do you think the data centers they want to put in space are using? You think it's just like a few kilowatts, or are we talking about like they want to have like multi-megawatt things up in space?
Cooling is the problem. Hold on.
Cooling is not the problem. I understand that like they want to use a lot of power, but you just got to put big ass fucking fins on them. But it's a matter of launching it up there and everything.
Big ass fins
to radiate the heat. Put big fins on it. It's space.
It's a fucking vacuum.
It doesn't matter.
No. I'm saying cooling is the problem, which is why they're putting it in space. Cooling is the problem on the ground right now, which is why they're throwing it up to fucking space. That's why they want it to go
somehow
in space.
You gave the most wrong take from all three of us.
Okay, hold on. Let me look.
Who is this guy? This guy is the one who's been arranging all of the interviews and everything for Hasan Piker. This is his interview producer. If you guys are bored, these are the guys' logs in Hasan's Twitch chat. I haven't gone searching yet. I don't know if there's anything interesting in there, but this is back in 2021. Damn. Oh, I don't know if he was working for Hasan yet at this point, but at Hasan Abi, what shampoo/conditioner do you use? Oh my god.
Minoxidil to the max.
So you brought up Peter Thiel. Is there somebody I don't know, because this is a very American frame in the sense that you put the blame onto someone versus the system. I think Americans don't like to think about their own systemic flaws because that calls into a lot of uncomfortable questions about the system they live in, the idea of, is this really a democracy, blah, blah, blah. It is a whole rabbit hole.
Just reality in general.
Yeah, reality in general, right? And a lot of people don't want to question the matrix that they're in, right? It's very uncomfortable, and I understand that. So instead, what they do is usually they point to the easiest person to point to, which is the president at the time, because we know after 4, maybe 8 years, that person, hopefully, will be a different person, right? And so it's so much easier to point out, oh, that's a bad guy.
There's a face to it.
Yeah, there's a face to it. So in that frame, though, is there someone in your mind that poses the most danger? I think most people would point to Trump, right? Everything's Trump. Everything's Trump. Understanding maybe from your perspective of how you believe the system is and how you view it, is there someone that is more dangerous than Trump?
I think, I've had this conversation a lot with like my liberal friends who, and my parents as well, where they say that exact same thing, where it's like, oh man, we only have to get past the next 2.5 years, and then hopefully the Democrats will take over in the midterm, and then maybe they'll take over after that.
It's like amnesia they have every 4 years. Right?
Yes, every 4 years. And it's like, oh my God, bro, no. I'm of the opinion, there has never been a good president in U.S. history. And if you look at every single president throughout American history, every single one has been, by and large, like up until fairly recently, in favor of slavery, in favor of like Zionist colonials.
I'm sorry, in favor of slavery? Okay. I actually already think I know how he's going to get there. If they talk about that, he's going to talk about like prison or something, my guess. I don't know.
They've been in favor of keeping this massive underclass of people who they can exploit as cheap labor. Oftentimes that took the form of offering like easy temporary protected status to get immigrants to come in so they could exploit their labor, offering loopholes for like undocumented people to come in and exploiting their labor. And more recently, I think we've seen this sort of manifest in Donald Trump being just overt about it. But even under the most progressive presidents of modern American history, whether it's Barack Obama or even Jimmy Carter, I mean, bro, Jimmy Carter quadrupled funding to the state of Israel. Like, he is not, when he got out of office, he was very much so like, listen, Israel's an apartheid state. We really need to curb their influence in the region. What they're doing is horrible. But it's like, bro.
I'm sorry. Jimmy Carter was calling Israel an apartheid state in the 70s? Is there a link to that? Can somebody show me that? I think he did like one time. I mean, I could definitely see him doing it like in the post, like in his later in life. Like this says 2006. I would be shocked if he said it right out of office because Carter was the guy who like was the big mediator between Israel and Egypt. Yeah, and when he says quadrupled the funding to Israel, I don't think the United States was even really funding Israel that much leading up into Carter coming to office. It wouldn't surprise me if the funding massively increased though, because we also started funding Egypt a ton to help facilitate that peace deal.
You were in power. You gave them a pretty big check. Like, I don't know if when you were in power, I wish you had the same train of thought. It's kind of an insane thing to do in retrospect, where you're going around building homes in the impoverished areas of the country that you could have used your pen to fix while you were in power. Same thing with Obama. People think,
oh man, he could have fixed all of poverty while he was in power, and he didn't do it. What an idiot.
Like, oh, well, his biggest scandal was the tan suit. It's like, okay, tell that to the Doctors Without Borders he bombed in the Kunduz hospital, bro. He's the only Nobel laureate to have bombed another Nobel laureate.
Weren't there like the most drone attacks? He authorized the most drone attacks of any U.S. president.
Yes. So it's like, we have to evaluate this like earnestly and honestly and realize like whether they're blue or red, the system that the United States has put into power
all bad.
Is simply, it does not give room to people to offer meaningful, long-standing change. You might get a little bit of incremental change here and there, and then Republicans get in and they not only squish that, but then they roll back like civil rights protections and stuff. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? It doesn't have to be like this. I think in terms of people who I'm most afraid of right now in the United States, I think I'm most afraid of Peter Thiel, a guy who was literally raised in a Nazi colony in Namibia, a guy who, the town...
Wait, is that true?
Yes.
How do you know that?
You can look it up. They're in, I think it's Swakopmund, I think is the name of it. I might be mispronouncing it. But up until fairly recently, this was a town, well after World War II, where they would greet each other by saying, Hail Hitler. Like, this is a town where you go around, because Germany had colonized Namibia. It was a German colony. They still oftentimes speak German. There's a lot of German expats who escaped World War II, and you can imagine the kind, who live in...
Oh, fuck me. Is this true? I just don't trust anything this guy fucking says. I feel like this is also very intentional. Notice how whenever they're talking about bad guys, he's only mentioning like Democrats? Like
Namibia. And one of these towns, I mean, there's a number of these towns, but one of the towns was effectively like this little Nazi colony that Peter Thiel was raised in. You go to the antique shops there, you can look on TripAdvisor right now, and you can see, there's Nazi memorabilia in these towns, in these little antique shops in these towns in the middle of Namibia, where Peter Thiel was raised, where he gained consciousness. Like, this is the framework in which these psychopaths are operating. And that to me is terrifying. As someone who is proud of one of the only cool accomplishments of the United States, which is aiding in the defeat of the Nazis in World War II, like, it sucks to see that.
Bruh, this guy is so mind fucked. Who knows what I just heard? Wait, did you hear that? Did you hear that phrasing? Did you hear? Ah! Ah!
Wait, go back. What did he say? Aiding?
Operating. And that to me is terrifying. As someone who is proud of one of the only cool accomplishments of the United States, which is aiding in the defeat of the Nazis in World War II.
Oh my God.
It sucks to see that we're now propping up those.
Reminder that in the early parts of World War II, or prior to World War II, I guess, depending how you want to phrase it, the Soviets and the Germans were allies. These were allied nations, okay? Until Hitler's paranoia caused him to fucking stab him in the fucking back. These were allied nations. The idea that the United... It's just so stupid.
Same Nazi descendants who are profiting literally billions or trillions of dollars from these very institutions that we thought were going to be eradicating Nazism around the world. I thought that was something we could all get behind. So Peter Thiel...
Eradicating Nazism around the world. What the fuck? The Nazi government was a government of Germany that we wanted to destroy. Now, what is this worldwide, like the war on terror, but for not Jesus? Oh my God, bro.
Terrified of, as well as the propagandists who try to sell his vision to the world without people even knowing, like Tucker Carlson. I was also extremely critical of Charlie Kirk.
Well, wasn't there, speaking of Charlie Kirk, I saw some headline, I don't know how true it is, but like they were saying they found that the weapon didn't match the bullet.
Bro, that is my favorite. Listen, at this point, I'm not a big conspiracy guy. I will entertain any conspiracy about Charlie Kirk because the FBI put out so many conflicting statements within like 48 hours. They're like, well, there was a gun, there wasn't a gun. He parked the rifle, it didn't match it. It's like, what the fuck? What is going on?
That's the thing. Like, I think the word conspiracy theory now, at least in America, holds no weight anymore. Zero weight anymore because there's been so much like damage to actual real information versus misinformation that literally nobody, not even the president knows like what the fuck is going on anymore. Dude, like, no one can decipher what is true versus what is untrue. It's only about what camp do you fall in, what camp do you.
It's just so crazy how, bro, I got to, Moot, we got to do it.
Be Republicans or what?
Yeah, I just want to be MAGA, bro. It's got to be so fucking sick that you don't get called out on anything. Nobody's attacking you ever. Like, nobody gives you any shit for anything. Notice these guys will not say any, like, no Kash Patel, no Donald Trump, just like, the FBI. Like, it's always Democrats that are in trouble for everything. Like, it's just, this is like the sickest shit ever. And imagine, like, you wake up and you see, like, Trump did some fuck shit. And instead of like, oh God, like, accountability, like, damn, like, how are we going to, this is rough.
How are we going to do
Instead,
this today?
it's like, fake news media, like, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, well, what about Biden? Or what about Hunter? Like, what about like, it's just so crazy. It's just so crazy how it's just no responsibility for anything these fuckers do. It's insane to me.
Fall in that most align with your already held beliefs, right? And that's all it is.
The other day, after the Trump assassination attempt at the White House Correspondent Dinner, my parents called me. My dad is like 71 years old. He's blue no matter who. He will vote Democrat no matter what at this point. He loves like Rachel Maddow and like like CNN sort of thing. He called me, he's like, Eric, it was a false flag. And I was like, Dad, you've never said this before. What are you talking? He's like, no, I know it was a false flag.
That sounds like Alex Jones.
I'm like, Dad, when did you turn to Alex Jones? What's going on? No, but like my parents were convinced instantly. They texted me, false flag. It's like, oh my God, something is changing. Where even like the boomers who otherwise would be like, no, come on, we don't entertain. Now it's like, no, yeah, it's all fake. They made it up. I really wish we had some like monumental event, like the moon landing or something right now, so that 80% of society in the United States could just be like, no, it's fake. No, Hollywood set. No, I don't believe
the UFO files just got released.
That's been going on for years. It's like little like things like what I'd be interested. What do you think about that? Do you think that's just a psyop? What is that? Like, why is the government and the FBI like in the Pentagon releasing UFO files?
No, it's important, bro. They said, they were, Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking the kids to the aliens. No one else. That was it. It was just the aliens that were coming down. We shouldn't prosecute anyone here on Earth. It was, no, I think it's 100% a distraction from like actual crazy shit that's going on. And my favorite thing too, the Democratic leader right now, Chuck Schumer, is talking about this like it's a very serious thing. Being like, guys, they just released the alien files. This is awesome. It's like, Chuck, bro, we're in a war. We're spending $1 billion a day bombing little kids in Iran. Can we please focus on that for 5 seconds?
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they're releasing these things, right?
It's insane. No one's even been charged on the Epstein files. Who are they trafficking kids to? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison? Were they trafficking into each other? Like, what the fuck's going on?
So kind of, I think the core of what we're talking about and the kind of this like absurdity and this frustration with this absurdity. In your opinion, having been living in the States, does this reflect the younger generation and their sentiment? Like, do your thoughts and opinions and your perspectives reflect at all maybe a larger population of people there? Or do you think maybe you're just an outlier? Like, what would be your commentary on the younger generation back in the States?
100%. But the issue is, right now...
100% you're an outlier?
100%, like, the vibe is shifting. The main issue right now is whether or not you can trust the institutions in place. And the biggest litmus test for that is whether or not politicians support the state of Israel. The problem is, no young people support Israel anymore. It's like fucking, I don't know, 20% or something. It's nothing. It's going down. No one, if you say Israel, it's like, oh my God, you're a villain. And the problem is the establishment Democrats have been so poor at reacting to this that it has been entirely captured by folks who I think I'm aligned with, folks who say like, Israel is an ethno-state. It's committing genocide. It has committed genocide not just in Palestine, but in states all around the world. It needs to not only be sanctioned, it needs to be punished. There needs to be war crime trials. If we had a Nuremberg trial right now, Benjamin Netanyahu, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump would all be, frankly, they'd probably be hanged at the gallows.
Okay. Even Joe. Damn. All right.
Wait, he said Biden too?
Yep.
Corn pop?
We're being realistic because that's what they did in the Nuremberg trials. And this is not just an ethnic cleansing, but an outright genocide of like multiple populations. Israel wants to do the Greater Israel Project.
Multiple
they want to expand into Syria.
Oh, they're genociding the Lebanese. They're genociding the Syrian. Every single person that has ever been killed by Israel is part of their genocide against everybody.
And I'll say, I think this is maybe the hardest part for Americans to understand. Because the second you start reckoning with the idea of the state of Israel's existence, you have to start reckoning with the existence of the United States itself, where it has a fairly similar founding story. Obviously, it's not the same, but it has this group of folks who came across this body of water. They sailed in from some ships. They landed on some far away land. There was an indigenous population, and they said, "Well, we kind of want this land.
This is ours.
We read about this a while ago. We kind of want this." And the people there were like, "Okay, yeah, welcome. Come hang out. Just be chill, be normal. Don't be dickheads." Just, if your vibes are chill,
just don't be
okay.
weird.
Just don't fucking be weird, and that's okay. And they're like, we're gonna be a little weird. We're gonna be a little. Also, we have guns. It's like, God, fucking damn it, bro.
We're gonna be really weird. This deserves to be a film right now. Like this type of language. Like at that time.
This is literally like the idea all the people on the planet were peaceful, and then the Europeans showed up, and then the white man showed up. But before then, famously, all of the indigenous peoples, everybody around the planet was all peaceful and lovey to each other. It was basically everybody was Pocahontas. And then all of a sudden, the white man showed up and the noble savage, and fucked over everything. All the peace we had everywhere.
Just guys talking in like 21st century, like Gen Z slang. Bro, your vibes are mad chopped.
What is that movie about the caveman year one with Michael Cera? I love that movie. Yeah.
And that's effectively, there's a lot of parallels between those stories. And if you start reckoning with one, you got to start reckoning with the other. The only difference was the United States was successful. They were 100% successful in destroying the indigenous population, eradicating almost 99% of that indigenous population, stealing the land, taking over large swaths of the land that did not belong to them or any of the colonial occupiers at the time. And
who did it belong to? Other natives that took it from other people? Like, what? Do they think that they were engaged? There was like a giant fucking market? Like there was a big exchange for land that all of the natives went to, and they're like, oh, well, who's gonna, run the whatever land today? It's like,
if you reckon with that, if you reckon with Israel, you're gonna have to start reckoning with like, why the fuck is it called New York? This wasn't ever like a piece of like the Netherlands, or like it was through the colonized history. But the people there, the indigenous folks, they didn't look like a 6'2" Dutchman. Like, what the fuck's going on? That's crazy.
No, it's amazing when you put it that way. It's just because so much time has passed that everything has become normalized.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were alluding to before, the reality that we know of right now is easily destroyed if you start really putting the pieces together. Right? And start questioning and asking questions and digging deeper. Because the biggest difference between now and let's say 10 to 15 plus years before was the dissemination of information. And with that comes a lot of power and control. So just like what you're feeling right now, you're saying is that, you're asking questions, you're putting two together, you're going to see things to find out the truth or whatever, but not everybody has that access. And if anything, the majority of the people
freely.
True. So that they can ask questions.
People will never have that access or even want to have that access, and they'll just take things at face value, right? In terms of social media and what they're fed.
I think that speaks to the importance of like why it's so valuable to make approachable, easy to digest content around what the fuck's actually happening in the world. It's not necessarily just covering like current events.
Oh my God. I just saw the nightmare. If this guy gets popular and it blows up, do you know where this dude's next stop is?
Korea?
Fucking Joe Rogan.
Jesus Christ.
Talking about the news all the time. But I think it's important to try to decipher, like, okay, why are we here? Why are we sitting at this table? Why is China rich now? Why is China doing so much better than it is, or than it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago?
Everybody's doing better than they were 50 years ago, 100 years ago. What is this question?
What are the material steps to getting to where we are right now? And also, I think one thing I've been maybe not shocked by, but very pleasantly surprised by, is the talking with folks here with any political power. They are very inclined to approach history from a very understanding perspective. Understand what went right, what went wrong, and try to figure out what's going on like right and wrong right now as well, and how we can correct that so that tomorrow is better than today. And that is, as an American dude, I'm like, you want to not only fix the potholes, but you want to
but you want to learn from the past.
You want to study the coconut tree that you fell out of. That's crazy, bro.
You know, it's crazy. I want to say something. Let's see if Justin's gonna laugh at this. I'm actually really curious because you've been here how long now?
About 8 months.
About 8 months.
Basically Chinese already.
Yeah. So 8 months in the grand scheme of things, it's still not that long.
It's
And you're still a fresh arrival.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to fast forward another year or two and to talk to you and really ask you.
Yeah.
Do you see, or maybe even see it now? Do you see how one's perspective is totally manipulated from an American system over here, where it's a totally different system, right? It's a totally different culture. Everything's different. And you kind of have to challenge a lot of things that you know.
Yeah.
And you already do, because you're much more progressive than the common person, I would say. But even then, like when we moved here, I considered myself an ultra liberal when I first moved here. But my eyes freaking opened up.
Have you become more sympathetic to what's going on here?
No, if anything, I've become more centrist. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Yeah, serious. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like we don't watch Chinese news. We don't really buy the Kool-Aid here either.
Yeah.
Because just in general, we don't want to buy the Kool-Aid. But just through living and conversations and exploring the country, and you know, you kind of get the lay of the land.
Yeah,
A lived experience.
Lived experience.
I think you guys need to start drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. It's awesome, bro.
Brainwashing us.
Start turning you guys
more than we have at this point, man.
You guys have to have Chinese in your life.
I'm gonna make you guys Chinese. Jesus Christ, bro! I'm the most annoying fucking white guy who goes to China.
You're like telling everybody to be Chinese.
Let me lecture you about your own culture.
That's crazy. I'm missing the Adidas jacket. I should be wearing it over this.
We'll superimpose a
Thank you. Yeah, Photoshop it on top. That's crazy.
No, but seriously though, have you seen that at all? Anything like that at all yet?
Yeah, I think I've been very lucky in that I've had a bunch of friends come visit who are like they're very politically inclined in the United States, but I don't think they're not reading the little red book and being like, "Yo, this is awesome." They're just like, "I want things to be cheaper. Like, I want my wages to go up." I want things to be cheaper. Like, I want my wages to go up in accordance with like inflation. You know, I want my rent to come down a little bit. I want us to build some more housing. I want things to get a little bit better. I want trains to get nicer. Yada yada yada. And so they come here and they see that. They see the subways. They see the maglev train, the fastest in the world. They see the
I thought Japan had the fastest maglev train in the world.
Bridges, the boats, the planes, the automobiles, the EVs. They walk around on the streets. They're like, why is it so quiet?
Yeah.
What's going on here? And it's like, there's EVs everywhere, you know? It's crazy. And they see that. And for them, just like you said, literally just going outside, seeing the material reality of what's around them, just breaks something. You said, literally just going outside, seeing the material reality of what's around them, just breaks something in their brains. Because a lot of them are from New York. A lot of them are from California. And they come here and they're like, wow, I don't have to own a car. I don't have to like pay $8,000 a month for like healthcare insurance, for health insurance. I don't have to pay an extra 20 or 40% for a tip on everything I buy. Food is affordable. People seem like they're living fairly dignified lives. Like things aren't perfect, but it seems like they're getting better. Like there's construction going on.
Like, go to rural China, dog. Like people, yes, when you are ultra wealthy and you go from one country to another, then obviously like things look fucking amazing. But like you can travel out to rural China where the standard of living is nowhere near as nice as it is in some of your big, huge cities that the tourists are in all the time.
There's trains building new big buildings. And that's so jarring to see as an American because you see progress happening in real new big buildings. And that's so jarring to see as an American because you see progress happening in real time. And it goes to show like the state can do things. The state is able to actually affect meaningful change. Whether or not you love every part of it doesn't really matter that much because materially, people's lives have just gotten so much better in the last like 40 years. And that's so cool for people to see in person. So I don't even have to be like, yo, here's this book, read all about like this big theoretical thing. You just look around, man. Here's a photo from 30 years ago and look at this now. It's completely different.
Damn.
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to always say this one thing. I moved here a while ago. It's been like 18, 19 years. It's been a long time. And we used to always say Shanghai, or just China. Living in Shanghai, I would say Shanghai. The hardware, right? The infrastructure, in other words, was developing at an alarming rate. Like literally, the next day you go out, you leave your home, and it's a different corner. That crazy, and then you can get a taste of it now, but multiply that by 10.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And So that's one. It was like the hardware was getting upgraded, but the software takes a little bit longer.
Yes, I agree.
And I felt very strong about it. We've talked about this before.
The software meaning like society,
Cultural norms, behavior,
people's exposure to things.
Yeah. Because don't forget, there's a very dark history.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent. Here.
Yeah.
And so, with that, the software is going to take some time to upgrade. But now I feel like the software has been upgrading. Still going.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes generations, right? But if you compare
From when we got here, 2026,
2015, or even 2006,
night and day. Where even me and you, Howie, we're like trying to catch up with like the young generation.
Yeah. Now we're trying to catch up to them.
We're like trying to catch up to them. They're much more progressive than even we are.
It's interesting. It's actually really interesting.
Really? They're much more progressive than even we are. They're exclusively talking about like public transport and stuff, but okay.
Yeah, and that's an interesting conversation. Maybe we can kind of like talk.
Also, there must be, but just to ease my mind, are there any like non-white people that can come out and give these opinions too? Because I feel like it's always like white wealthy people from America, the wealthiest white people from America that are moving to these countries. Like, it's actually so crazy how amazingly nice it is to live here, and it's like, oh really? As a super wealthy white dude, you moved to China and went to the most expensive city in China and live in a really expensive place, and you're doing super, and it's actually really amazing. Wow, tell me more.
About a little bit, because you're still pretty newbie here, and we've been here for a while, but it'd be interesting to hear those type of perspective differences. And first of all, so you say you've been here for 8 months, and you're already feeling out that change and stuff like that. But what's the biggest thing that kind of hit you in the face? Kind of.
I actually made a list.
Oh,
I made a list, and actually, I recently wrote about this in a book for Code Pink called "China's Not Our."
Somebody said former Bridges guest Milo hates Destiny. So he doesn't hate me. He just is bullied by his fucking audience, and none of these people have a spine at all. He got bullied the second we did that Bridges episode. His whole audience was fucking leaving comments on his YouTube saying, I can't believe you did that thing with Destiny. So he donated $200 to Professor Pro Genocide over here. Looks like we are crowdfunding monetization on this one. Had the overwhelming displeasure of joining this. Jesus Christ!
What did he say?
Sorry. Hold
He
on.
does hate you.
I need a source on this. There's no way that's real. I need link me the comment on the video. What did this guy say? He used to be a big fan of my stuff too when we were there. I don't remember if he was like, I don't want to say simpy, that's me, but like I really like you guys. And
so what it is,
both of these guys were super awesome, by the way. Although I guess fuck Milo now.
Is actually telling you is your DNA statistically is similar to.
This is the guy that went on Joe Rogan and obliterated the guy who claims the lost city of Atlantis. Is like right there. We've almost found it.
Modern people
the
in
Graham
Ireland.
Hancock guy, or whatever.
Not necessarily
telling you. I think from, just from a...
This is the Milo guy. He's like 20 years old, though, so he's probably a fucking radical tanky, because every single person who's young has to be a fucking tanky. I'm sorry, hold on. I just read this. I felt like I was in Game of Thrones. Okay, I have not verified the authenticity of this comment, so until somebody links it to me, I'm going to be 60% true on it. Looks like we are crowdfunding monetization on this one. Had the overwhelming displeasure of joining this little imp on a podcast a few years ago. You will all be happy to know that his vibe in person is exactly as sinister as you'd expect. Always knew him as a guy who would shred Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens and nothing more. Partway through the podcast, he randomly brought up this country favorably, and it totally threw me off. Only afterwards did I learn how reprehensible his views are on this, and in the years since, they have only gotten worse. But hey, par for the course for someone that is engaged in as much other disgusting shit as he has. Keep up the great work. Holy shit! I need to see this comment. Is this a real comment? In his most recent video, Milo denounced liberalism. What do you mean denounced liberalism? What? It is real. That's wild. 47 minutes ago, and Professor Dave liked it, and he commented, dude, okay, this guy is mentally unwell, I think. Something is like happened.
Who, Dave?
Yeah. Somebody made a site to track like all of his comments on his video. So apparently he's made 562 comments on that video, like in the comment section. And then, does this mean he's deleted 1,219 comments? Is that what this means? He curates his comment section like crazy.
Denial, but honestly, the thing I'd find the most insulting about that is being called a fucking liberal. Jesus Christ, what are you gonna call me next? A fucking Democrat? Come on. The most likely reason for the current position and shape of the landmass is the Great Flood. Oh my God. Pangea does not work without flipping, shrinking, and sometimes removing countries entirely. All things that can, get this, happen through plate tectonics. Have a look at the Pacific hotspot that created Hawaii. If you look at those...
Israel mentioned in this podcast.
That I'm guessing you haven't even read. Or I'll have somebody, I got into a debate with a guy over Israeli-Palestinian stuff, and he was like, how do I know that, these people believe whatever in Israel? And Yoav Galan, the Minister of Defense, sometimes they tweet out their statements, and I look like, well, guess what he said about this? And the guy's like, your source is Twitter? And I'm like,
What do you mean? What? Or like, oh, your source is CNN. It's like, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Is my source Nature? Or, no, it's like, what do you mean?
Like, I just said the thing on this platform.
Yeah.
But,
Oh.
I mean, that's a great point. And that,
Fucking disgusting. Ugh.
again, that goes to that whole generalization thing. It's
He's so thrown off. You can tell like how rattled he is.
if you can really convince a group of people that everything on Google or everything from the CDC is just bad, then they're not going to listen to it. Like that whole thing of, do your own research. I'm sure all of us have.
Hey, everyone.
He called me an imp. Joining this little imp. How tall is this guy? I feel like he's like my height. Maybe he's taller. I don't know. Bro, holy shit.
Problem?
That's wild, dude. Also, sorry, just as a quick thing. Fuck, I don't have the link handy. You can check the monetization statuses of videos. His video is not demonetized. He's raised over $10,000 on this video, but it's not demonetized. YouTube monetization checker. Somebody link me this. Assuming this is, I guess it works. I guess I should check one of my videos and see, I guess. I don't know. Well, actually, fuck it. Let's see. Maybe this doesn't work. Maybe there's a problem with this. Is my video monetized?
It's like you guys every single fucking day.
Shut up! Oh, well, there's two. What? He's shorter than me. Dude, short guys, I understand this now. I didn't understand until I met other people, I guess, in real life. Short guys have a problem that they want to take out on the world. In this picture from October of last year, I was 5'5", and Milo was wearing boots. Yeah, he was like a little shorty dude.
That's crazy. And he calls you an imp?
I mean, do you remember that Gremlo guy?
Jesus Christ, man.
Whatever. Jesus fuck.
It's always the shortest people who do that, too.
Yeah. I'm actually so sad to find out that Milo is a tanky fuck. I really liked him. There's just some things you just got to give. Like, if you've got a friend who's European, you just got to accept he's going to hate Eastern Europeans. If you got a friend in the South, he's probably racist as fuck. If you're following a content creator and they do any kind of politics at all, they probably hate Israel, and if they're under the age of 25, they're probably tanky. These are just the things you have to accept now. It is what it is. What are you gonna do?
He's wearing pumps. And look how short he is.
Why would you ever set yourself up like this?
What is this outfit? This is an outfit that you would expect on like a moderately attractive woman.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a man in such a breedable stance. Look at this. What?
With breedable clothing too.
True.
What is
Oh my
happening
God!
here?
Change out his head, like this and it's guy's like getting that's
excited going behind.
Hold
him.
on,
Like,
Dan. All right. Wait a second. Oh, look at him.
Yeah, we got to set that studio back up.
Bro.
Yeah. Well, Steve, when you say that, you actually do, right?
Yep, I'm working on it.
That I think that means yes. No.
Look at
Look at him behind there, having to hold that camera. This girl over here is taller than him. Draw the line. She's taller than him. She's like, it's like guy in front holds camera. Girl behind has to hold camera up with her hand. Gremlo behind has to have a selfie stick with the camera at the top that he's holding up to see.
Don't forget this motherfucker is actually wearing pumps right now.
Yeah.
Like he is.
How do you decide which are the good history books?
Jesus.
Feels like there is this enemy, and they asked specifically. They're like, "What is like? What have been the biggest like wake up calls for you?" And it was something to the effect of like, first and foremost, not everything is a scam. In the United States, it feels like you get a telemarketing call every day trying to give you a new loan that will ultimately lead to you losing your home. Like my grandma received this all the time. She would receive calls about a reverse mortgage. She was like 87 or something. She started getting these calls. They're like, "Oh, hey, Rosemary, you want to have $800,000 right now?" Or whatever, like whatever nonsense, some sort of terrible term loan. And it ended up that they were trying to like take away her home, just predate on old people, like trying to take advantage of them. And
okay, but a reverse mortgage isn't like a scam per se, right? It's
not
just
necessarily, but I would assume if somebody's calling an old person, it's a fucking scammer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Play the Gremlo clip.
Oh, I like that.
Bro.
Look at this guy.
Bro.
I know that guy.
There's this idea that not everything around you is trying to scam you out of every single dollar that you have or every single RMB that you have in your bank account. And that's like a kind of refreshing feeling because it kind of instills this degree of trust in the people who live around you. In my own case, I barely speak Chinese. I barely speak anything. And I've been shocked that even a lot of old heads who are in their 60s or 70s have come up to me. And some of them actually speak perfect English, which is shocking to me, and are so welcoming from even my old head neighbor.
They speak perfect English, which is shocking to me. In what part? Is he still in the capital cities? Because if you go to any capital city, basically on the fucking planet, like 80% of the people speak English. Well, the parts of the planet I've been to. Although I'm willing to bet even through Africa, there are going to be a ton of English speakers in your capital cities. Probably in some of Southeast Asia.
My uncle neighbors who see me, welcome to our neighborhood. I know you're from America.
Welcome.
I know America and China have had a tumultuous relationship, but still welcome. Thank you so much.
No shot has anybody ever said that in real life.
Hello. I know our countries have rough history, but I'm happy that you are my new neighbor.
No shot. You know why I know this is not true? Because all of his neighbors are probably other white people that fucking moved from the United States that all live together.
For being here. Thank you so much for seeing our culture and hopefully trying to enjoy it a little bit.
Thank you for appreciating my culture, American man. Thank you.
And that's been super cool for me.
Would you not get that back in, let's say, New York, Arizona? Like,
I guess I can give you anecdotal evidence. In Arizona, I lived in the suburbs. No one knew the neighbors. Maybe 20 years ago, people knew each other. But in this current day and time, like, my parents don't know their neighbors in suburban Scottsdale, Arizona.
Really?
It's really sad because everyone's just in their own little homes. They all sit on Nextdoor every day. You guys know Nextdoor?
No, what is that?
It's like a website where like...
I mean, like, this might be true. I can't speak for all areas. I do know in apartments, I feel like in apartments, you don't learn your neighbors as well. Or maybe I just don't because I'm antisocial as fuck. In my house in Omaha, I'm also antisocial as fuck, but I kind of had to know. Like, I feel like you just see them. When you take your trash out, you see them sometimes. If you're mowing your yard, you definitely see them. Like, you see them when you're driving to and from if they were hanging out in the front. So even in Omaha, when I didn't want to know my neighbors, I kind of did. I feel like that's just kind of like suburban life. But maybe for younger people, it's different. I don't know.
Based on your zip code, you can like talk about like what's going on in your neighborhoods. And so everyone's
I'm also curious, though, when this guy says, because this guy looks like he's like fucking, like 29 years old. How old is this guy? Was he living in his own house in the suburbs? Or was this like with his family? Oh, no, I guess he mentioned his family. I don't know. It's hard to, people lie about every part of their history too. So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Right. I think in America, and you would know better than I do, it's been a long time since I lived in America. So I could be speaking out of school here. But my feeling is that there's a heightened sense of feeling of threat and danger just in society in general, just in America in general, whether it's gun violence, whether it's any sort of other types of
I don't think of even just only physical, but even just political.
100%.
Oh, yeah, like political divide. Like you don't know you don't want to step on any toes sometimes. You don't know where the red line is.
It's not just physical.
So it's like from like intellectual level, but also physical. There's this heightened level of like feeling of danger almost. Where here, it's not like that doesn't exist at all, but it's so much different. It's so much lower.
Yeah.
I'm speaking as a man here. I don't never felt any sort of like danger for like fear of my life.
Yeah.
And even if there is any type of political...
Like, I'm sorry, the way these guys are talking and where these guys are from, I seriously doubt they've ever been in a place in America where they were feeling fucking fear for their life. These guys, the white dude is a graduate from fucking Berkeley and sold a company for $20 million when he was like fucking 23 years old. Or
I don't
whatever.
even know if that's true. Like he may have had the valuation. I doubt it sold for that. Like if you got it, because think about this, he raised money on a $20 million valuation, but did it sell for that?
He said that he sold a part of it on a $20 million valuation. So I doubt he sold the whole thing, but I mean, like he's well off. You go to school in Berkeley, California. His parents came from South Africa. Now lives in China.
Sure.
The dude is absolutely fucking well off. I'm not saying he's like a self-made millionaire. I'm saying that for somebody to say that, he probably came from a pretty privileged background and everything. This is not like a
or any other that it's a bit more divisive, conversation between people. That, from my experience, has never been like I will kill you. Of what you think.
It's like, how often is this happening in the U.S.? Like online, sure, but like in real life, like how often are you people? I'm gonna kill you for your political beliefs. I mean, I guess depending on where you're at. Wait, you're mentioned in this? Oh, what is the reverse canary mission? Is this for evil Zionists? Well, associating with Zionist streamer Destiny.
Oh, hold on.
What?
This site is awesome, by the way.
Reverse canary mission or canary mission?
Reverse canary mission.
Compounding this, Rossi has associated with avowed Zionist Twitch streamer Stephen Bonnell II, known as Destiny, who propagates atrocity propaganda, denies Israel's genocide in Gaza, and smears Palestinian resistance.
It's this conversation. Because people here don't identify.
The stakes are different.
Yeah, the stakes are different. And obviously, there are barriers and hurdles to being very politically active in China, like for the obvious reasons, right? But by and large, people do not identify with their political beliefs here. It's not like this is my identity. Yeah. This is what I'll live. No, there are people who have strongly held political beliefs, but it's another thing entirely to identify as like.
I mean, it's a single party state. I mean, how much political debate? I mean, I'm sure there's some, but like, what?
This is who I am.
Yeah, like I'm a Democrat or Republican sort of thing.
Of course, there are exceptions, but by and large, the majority of people, at least in my view, do not like buy into it and like are totally consumed every day by their political beliefs. Yeah. And I think that's a stark difference in America, which I feel, and again, I'm looking at America through a prism. I feel like people do identify like wholly, like their whole identity their ego almost is tied to the belief that they are in the right in terms of their political ideals.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that.
And so, like, I think going back to this level of danger, I think a lower level of danger makes you naturally just a more open society in terms of welcoming other people because you're not in fear as much, right? So why wouldn't you be friendly to your neighbor?
I think in America, I was always terrified of getting into like a road rage incident because at least in Arizona, everyone has guns.
Yeah.
Every night you see the news. Cops killed another person. Cops killed fucking 4 people today because they're going around, there's like, oh, there's a suspect with a gun. Okay, well, we have to shoot and kill them. You get into a road rage incident with someone, they whip out a Glock, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe you cutting me off wasn't that big of a deal. Maybe those truck nuts,
Quickly, Anthony Fauci promoted.
Fuck!
The next day, the police came.
Oh my god! Like how?
We fucked it.
Where?
You're gonna make us watch this whole fucking thing?
Yep.
Yes. This is good, Dan. This is good content.
Where the fuck are you living that you're getting into these incidents on the daily, bro?
I was always terrified of getting into like a road rage incident because at least in Arizona, everyone has guns.
Yeah.
Every night you see the news. Cops killed another person. Cops killed fucking 4 people today because they're going around, there's like, oh, there's a suspect with a gun. Okay, well, we have to shoot and kill them. You get into a road rage incident with someone, they whip out a Glock, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe you cutting me off wasn't that big of a deal. Maybe those truck nuts, they really are intimidating. That I feel like is such a stark difference to here where I see people argue. I see folks get into heated arguments all the time. They're always, oh, what's Sal? Like all this. But it doesn't feel like there's a fear that someone's about to whip out like an...
You know what? Actually, I will speak to this somewhat legitimately. And it's a weird thing, but I don't know what this is, but there is like a middle class white family is the most docile thing in the universe. And it's just so hard to understand. I remember explaining this, even growing up around the black friends that used to live near my grandma, how terrified I would be being in that house. Because every time, his name was Jay, every time his dad spoke, he was always like shouting, and he just like always was like, oh God, like he's about to get his ass whipped or whatever. For black people, they were always so loud. And every time I would come down to Hialeah to stay with my Cuban family, my grandma and then my great aunt, they would shout at each other. Cuban people speaking is like so loud. I thought they were always like about to fucking beat the shit out of each other. And then at my house with my mom and her brother Rob, when they were talking in Spanish, it was always like loud and shouting at each other. But white people are very quiet. There's no shouting unless somebody's really, really, really mad. And I guess if you've like, I don't know, maybe if you've been in that environment and you've never been around like ethnic people or people of color or whatever the fuck, I don't know. Maybe there are some quieter people that aren't just like white middle class or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they just get like really frightened and really scared like very easily. But it is exclusively like white middle classy people. Because if you're around like rednecky people, like they're also loud and they shout and they fucking throw shit and whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
AR-15 or something, and like do some crazy shit, and that's so jarring. Like I've heard fights before here, but I'm not like afraid of them. If that makes sense.
Fisticuffs. You get fisticuffs.
I've seen a little bit of like hand play here and there. And, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we did the old school way here.
Yeah, do that, but no more, please, And I feel like that is. It makes you feel like maybe this is corny, but it makes you feel like a little bit more human, where you can have meaningful disagreements with people, even if it gets really heated. No one's gonna like kill you. Like there is something to be said about that where you
like, what is your experience? Where do you live at that this is like legitimately a thing terrifying you on the daily? I don't know. This feels like it feels like a European, like a young European talking about America, where it's like, don't you guys have like guns and everybody's constantly trying to kill each other with guns on the streets? Like, no, maybe in the movies, but this is like an exceptionally rare. Like you have to be in some crazy shit. Like maybe it'll happen once in your life. I don't know. More than it should. Like make no mistake. Obviously, we shouldn't. It shouldn't be a thing anywhere in the U.S. as normalized as it is. Our homicide rates with firearms is insanely high. But like, come on, Jesus.
Before my wife came to for the first time, she was literally thinking about buying a bulletproof vest because she thought it was like a fucking Texas style Western, spaghetti Western video where everybody's like shooting each other.
Yeah.
Life. And I do appreciate that. And I'm sure people do have considerable differences of opinions here. But at the end of the day, I think people generally want prosperity for their country. And that's like a cool thing that I can get behind.
I think in general, just to push back a little bit, I think in general, it also still goes with economic situation for where you're living. So in Shanghai, you're really not going to see too much of that.
Yeah,
no, you start going a little bit further down to a little more rural areas, you might find killing crime or something like that. Fights that get a little bit overboard.
I can imagine.
I also just I just think it's so funny to say that unless he has like a black great-grandfather or black grandfather or somebody in his tree, to claim that he says that his family escaped apartheid, but they're white. I don't know. That's a really funny verb to use. Escaped. Like you just didn't like the apartheid, so you let. What do you mean escaped apartheid? That's hilarious.
Stories come out, but I mean, no firsthand experience, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do exist.
Do you think that's getting better though? Like, do you think because those cities are now getting richer, those fights are becoming less and less?
That I don't know. I would not be able to give a proper answer to that, but I could give an answer of because of the infrastructure development, and which is another thing I'll be curious to hear your opinion on, which is all the cameras everywhere, and that's not just in first-tier cities. You go to any other city and you're going to see that. I mean, that's been, I would say, the biggest deterrent of crime. And you sacrifice your quote-unquote privacy by walking around town and you can get tracked, but at the end of the day,
you're safer.
It just depends on how you.
Now, earlier, I feel like this guy was shitting on the white guy was shitting on Palantir and everything. But maybe if it's Palantir, maybe that's an okay company. But Palantir, not okay company. I don't know. Maybe
you view it right.
I'm actually so sad to find out that Milo is a tanky fuck. I really liked him. There's just some things you just got to give. Like if you've got a friend who's European, you just got to accept he's going to hate Eastern Europeans. If you got a friend in the South, he's probably racist as fuck. If you're following a content creator and they do any kind of politics at all, they probably hate Israel. And if they're under the age of 25, they're probably tanky. These are just the things you have to accept now. It is what it is. What are you going to do?
It's like Kanye. Kanye's going to say the N-word.
Well, Kanye's black.
I fucked up. I meant he was going to be.
Oh, a Nazi. That's okay. I got you.
What are you going to do?
It's all good.
I have two sort of goofy anecdotal experiences with the camera system here. In, I think December of 2025, last year, a couple months after I moved here, I was still under the impression that there was this big surveillance apparatus around us and that we were constantly, there's face tracking and there was this very sophisticated mechanism to determine where everyone is at all times.
Like there's a machine
exactly. Yeah.
Did you believe in the social credit score?
Please, Benjamin Netanyahu, let this guy in like a year make a video on why he had to move from China. Please.
Why? He never would. What do you mean?
Well, it happens a lot of the times that like Americans go to Russia and then like the Russians fucking hate them and like they get all their shit fucked. And then they make a video of like why
the Russia shit is different. Those are like retarded people that go to Russia. This guy's like a propagandist. Like there's a reason why fully informed people like Hasan only stayed one day in shithole Cuba. Hasan doesn't go to Russia to do propaganda. And Hasan would go to China for a long time. Like these places are able to put them up in much nicer areas where they have like the ultra first world experiences. Yeah.
No, not before coming here. Okay. But now that I'm here, I'm like, I wish they had it.
Like you want.
I'm like, dude, those people on e-scooters running down the sidewalk, almost driving me over. I'm like, they need it. They need it. No, but I had flown back into PVG Airport, Pudong Airport in Shanghai, and as I was going to my Didi,
it's also funny that like I don't know. Again, I don't know this guy's age. He looks really young. He's probably in his 30s. But like what you're describing there is not moving from country to country or having an experience. What you're describing there is called getting old. It's literally a get off my lawn moment. Like, yeah, the more that I think about it now, these motherfuckers riding their scooters everywhere, kicking people on the streets, I kind of do want there to be mass surveillance. That's called getting older, yes, because you don't give a fuck about this shit when you're a kid. But when you're older, you hate these motherfuckers because now they're running you over.
I'd been flying the entire day. I was exhausted. And I get to the spot where you call it Didi, and someone comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to ride home?" I was like, "Fuck, all right. Here's my Didi. If you can match the price, let's do it." And he's like, "Okay, let's do it." So we start going down to his car, and as I'm about to put my bags into the trunk of his car, a police officer walks over and is like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" I'm like, "No, he's a taxi driver, I assume." And he's like, No. Come with me. And he's like, "This guy's a known scammer. He's going to take you home. He's going to drop you off in front of your place, but he's going to say, all right, now you owe me 10 times what I told you at the airport." And
every fucking foreign thing fucking does this, okay? Fuck everybody, all right? Actually, I say foreign. I'm sorry. They do this shit in America, too. If you haven't learned, if you've ever been in an airport and there's a dude standing up front who's like, "Oh, do you need a ride? Taxi? Do you need a ride?" They're never taxis. They're always at designated areas. If you take a ride from any of these people, you will get scammed.
To try to scam you out of this money, the original negotiated price that you had come up with. I'm like, "Oh, fuck, man. All right, that's fine. I'll just catch a Didi." And he's like, "Actually, come with me. Can you cooperate with the investigation?"
Yeah.
It's 1 a.m. at this point. I am exhausted. I'd literally been flying for probably 12 hours that day. I'm like, dude, and I had a flight at PVG at like 8 a.m. the next day. I'm like, dude, I really just kind of want to go home, man. I'm really tired. But he's like, "No, please cooperate." I'm like, fuck, okay. So I go to the police station inside Pudong Airport, and it's this team. As an American, I'm terrified of police. Every cop in America walks around with a gun at their hip. Every interaction I've had with a police officer in America has been negative. There's not been a single positive interaction in which they've been like, "I want to genuinely help you." It's like, "I have a gun. If you misspeak, I'm going to shoot you." And it's like, okay.
Well, when are you
retarded?
Also, when are you interacting with cops?
It's either they're probably pulling you over. It's going to be a negative experience. And this guy probably lives in wealthy enough areas that he's never had to call the cops before. So yeah, of course, every interaction is probably going to be negative. Like, what do you mean? Like, Destiny, is this true at all? Like, I get the apprehension around cops. I'm always like, did I fuck up something? Am I carrying something? I shouldn't be, yada, yada. But I haven't really been afraid of the cops. I mean, the problem is that, like, every cop in America acts like they're fucking John Wayne. I don't know why. They just always have this, like, fucking... I don't know how to explain it. And that's maybe that's not true. Not ever. No, I mean, like, I've encountered friendly cops before, but too many of them have that attitude of, like, where you going? What are you doing? They're like, okay, Mr. Badass, like, fuck off.
So I go to this police station. There's like, I don't know, probably 10 cops, and maybe 6 of them huddled around this little screen. And they're like, okay, we need to find the right frame of him coming up to you in the security footage so we can use it in this case against him, because there have been probably 6 or 7 different cases against him at this point in time. I'm like, oh, okay, easy, bro. You have the face surveillance technology. Use the fucking fingerprint scanner or whatever you got going on in this shit. Yeah, no problem. And we sit there and we literally go through it like frame by frame. And he's like, which camera do you think it was? Do you think it was one over here? I'm like, I thought you were supposed to know this. I thought this is a surveillance state, bro.
I thought you had the master AI telling you. Like,
yeah, I thought there was some like Palantir, Chinese Palantir going through and like determining where everyone is. What's going on here? And he's like, oh no, we have to figure out what camera it is. I was like, oh my God. Okay, so I think it's this camera. And after like 30 minutes, we found the right camera. And then about another 30 minutes later, we found the right interaction. But we literally scrubbed through front to back, back to front. And I wanted to like whip out like old like computer science algorithms I'd learned in college to like try to do like in like computer science there's like algorithms to like determine how to sort data or like find specific numbers. You like start with the first half if it's there. No, you go to the second half. And I wanted to try to explain these algorithms to them so they could sort through these frames more efficiently. And I was like, bro, this is taking so long. Mind you, now it's like 2:30 a.m. And I'm like, I have to be back here at this very point in like 6 hours, no, like 4 hours. Like, I don't even know if it's worthwhile going home at this point. Can we please use whatever advanced surveillance technology you're hiding from me to just find these people already? But no, they were very kind. They ended up offering me like a sausage on a stick and they gave me like lychee juice and everything. They were very sweet, but we had to manually scrub through hours of footage to find this guy who tried to scam me out of this DD.
Yeah.
And I had to issue a police report. And same thing, actually, when I issued the police report, they gave it to me and it was all in Chinese, so I could translate it. And they were like, hey, if there's anything wrong with this, let us know. And I translated it. And like, there were some issues with it. It was saying like, he came up and he wouldn't let Eric leave without like getting in his car. And I was like, oh man, maybe they're like trying to frame this guy for something. Maybe that's not good. And so I said to the guy, I'm like, hey, like, he didn't do this part. I don't want him to get into like more trouble than he needs to. I'm sure he's just trying to pay the bills. You know, like it sucks that he has to resort to this, but I don't want him to like, you know, serve time in prison for this. Like, that's crazy. And they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. What actually happened? Just tell us. And so I revised everything and they just wrote it up on the spot and I signed it and it was totally fine. I was shocked to hear that there was like, there didn't seem to be the corruption that I had grown accustomed to in the United States. And that was a very jarring experience. And it made me wish that there was indeed this sort of mythical surveillance technology that was actually monitoring everyone at all times. So I could have just saved that hour or two sitting in that police station. Yeah. But there was that. And then there was one very recent, very brief thing where we were in Chongqing and our friend's visiting from the United States.
That's crazy.
And she received cash from her ex-boyfriend's grandmother, who was this little old 80-something-year-old Chinese lady in like Flushing, Queens. And she used this cash to buy jewelry from, I think it's like Blackhead Jewelry, something, a very mainstream jewelry brand here. And the next day, the police came to our door in the hotel we were staying at. They're like, hey, your friend used fake banknotes. These are fraudulent. These are like scam banknotes. These were not real. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to prison.
Also, you paid cash with it?
She paid cash because she's like a tourist. Yeah. She'd received cash from like this grandma, you know, like the old heads in the US, I guess they still have some like actual physical cash. And she used it to buy this jewelry. So the cops came to the door and were like, hey, she bought with like fraudulent cash. And I was like, we're going to prison. We're never getting out of Chongqing. I'm going to die in this prison here. This is horrible. And they're like, can you just like pay them? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I scanned their WeChat code. They're like, if you want to leave a voice message, you can send them a voice message. And they held up the phone. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I had no idea it's our friend. She's visiting. I feel so bad. If there's anything to do to make up for it, please let me know. I feel terrible for like potentially trying to scam you, obviously unintentionally. And they were like, okay, she's yeah. And they left. I was like, oh my God.
I wonder if this guy, like, obviously I don't know, but like, I wonder if this guy is just like telling stories about how he's like getting scammed and he doesn't realize it. That like these weren't cops that came up to him. They were just like random fucking Chinese people. They were like, bro, let's like scam this retarded fuck American. And it's just, I don't know.
Now what? Is there going to be like a SWAT team that comes in and like throws us into prison? What's going on here? And that was it. She was already on a train at that point, so she wasn't even in the hotel. And we told her like, Andrea, there's police here for you. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to die in a Chinese prison. And she got to Nantong where she was going and she reported it to the police. She's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And they're like,
so why are you telling me?
Hutch's stream title said he can't stop fighting leftists. There's one soldier in the field. True. I feel so bad for Hutch, dude. It just sucks that like every lib space just gets dominated by these people. Like, how is Live
He
and
does a
Learn a
podcast with
show?
him.
Yeah, how is Live and Learn a show where they have to just constantly fight off like the tanky and the lefty apologia? I don't know, man. Also, I feel like, and I'm not going to overgeneralize, obviously be careful, but like in countries where I've done like bad stuff and gotten in trouble just because I didn't know what the fuck was going on, I feel like most of the time the cops there will give you like a stern talking to, but they're like not looking to fucking throw Americans in jail or some crazy dramatic shit. Like that's
No,
just,
it's probably fucking hassle to throw our asses in jail.
yeah, and it's potentially an international incident depending on how things go. So it's just like not worth whatever. But I don't know. Maybe some places they do fuck with you a lot. I don't know.
Have you guys had anything similar? Have you had to deal with any sort of crazy surveillance stories or camera stories?
No, not in terms of surveillance. I mean, I had my run-in with police. I was very scared in the moment because it was like, especially my first run-ins, I was like scared. But it was like literally nothing happened.
Nothing.
And this shows like there is this, no matter how progressive or open-minded or traveled we feel we are,
people are retarded,
and this speaks
man.
to like how strong the propaganda is in America, I guess. Like even us who are like, even you, like there is still this like, the stain of propaganda that we still haven't washed off, and that influences us in the way we think, especially in times of fear, right? Because then all the worst thoughts flow into mind, right? And times when I've felt afraid, all like the worst thoughts of American or Western narrative about China start rushing in immediately. It's fascinating and almost ridiculous how fast those thoughts.
It is cool that China has no propaganda. I do like that part of China, that they've eliminated all propaganda. That's really cool.
Rush into my mind, even though I've been living here for like 17 years and I have the perspective of China that I have. And it's like, once I'm in like a fearful state, like all the worst thoughts, like, oh, this is authoritarian, totalitarian, I'm gonna get arrested, I'm gonna be disappeared, blah, blah. Right? It's like this, like all the worst thoughts. And
I spent some time in Shanghai. You literally can't drink the water there without getting deathly ill. Everybody there drinks bottled water. It's gross hearing people talk about how future it is. Really? The tap water in Shanghai is not drinkable? That might be true.
That happens in a lot of fucking EU places, though.
One thing that traveling through Europe in the 2010s, and that I didn't realize was apparently America was like really, really, really fast getting clean municipal drinking water throughout the entire country, especially given how large. Well, I shouldn't say that actually, because there are places like in rural areas that still do well water, but that the idea of having like you could turn a tap on and drink water America rushed that hardcore compared to most other countries, from what I was aware of, which I thought was interesting.
Like literally right after, like nothing happens.
You're like, okay, where is it?
Yeah, it's been, like nothing but helpful. And I'm like, and then I feel like an idiot again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck, man. I'm no better than I was when I first left America, right? And I don't know. I think it just shows how deeply we have been propagandized that any moment of fear, all those things are still right there.
Where were you guys before moving here? California?
I was in New York.
You were in New York?
Yeah, I grew up.
Where were you? Oh, yeah, San Francisco. Oh, yeah, New York. Oh, I actually lived in Lake Tahoe with my family. Like, oh, cool, interesting. Yeah, you guys all lived in the most expensive part. Oh, cool, okay, interesting.
In New Jersey. Then I was in New York, and then I went to LA, and then went back to New York, and I came here.
I see.
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess, the NYPD, they're not a great squad of folks.
I'm like living in America genuinely.
What are the bad experiences that you guys living in the East Village or living in the guaranteed the most expensive parts of Brooklyn or Manhattan? You guys are having adversarial encounters with the NYPD? I don't believe it.
Intimidated by police officers. Yeah. Even if I'm doing nothing wrong and I'm just driving and there's a police car behind me, I am like tense. Yeah. I'm like, okay, fuck, what am I doing? Oh, my headlights on. Like, right? God forbid I get pulled over, which I have been many times. But like, I get automatically tense. I don't feel tense around police.
I want to add something to this.
Yeah, because you're not driving in China. No shit, you don't feel tense. What are they going to fucking arrest you for? There's nothing going on. You're in public transit. Like, I don't really feel tense when I see cops like walking around, unless I have drugs on me. I always feel tense when I see cops driving. But I mean, like, I feel like that's a little bit more natural, don't like whatever.
Which might be an interesting point of view. I don't know if you noticed this, but keep your eyes open next time when you see a police officer talking to a Chinese citizen.
Yeah.
For any type of misdemeanor or anything like that.
Oh, they're so nice.
They're basically yelling at the police.
The Chinese monkeys.
Yeah.
The Chinese monkeys
they go nuts on the police.
In the police officers.
Why are you stopping me? I gotta go here. They're just going nuts.
Easy, leave me alone.
Yeah. And the police are just like, I just want to go. You know,
so every time I see this, in my mind, I'm thinking, in America, that granny would be face down on the pavement, knee behind her neck.
Yeah.
Now, even in the cop slap videos we watch, which are always going to be tilted a certain way, it's funny for them to say that. There are tons of people in America that go full Karen mode and like are screaming at the cops when they absolutely shouldn't be. Like that. Whatever. It's so cringe.
Leading it, right? So, yeah, exactly.
Resisting. Yeah,
it's resisting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so
But meanwhile, China is like literally Yeah, same thing. And when at first I had the exact same feeling as Justin. Whenever I got stopped by for some stupid little thing, I'd be like, "Oh my god, so tense." But then now I'm just like not tense at all. I'm just like, I'll even sometimes give a little. I'm like, "Are you serious? You really?" You know? He's like, "Come on, man. So it's interesting. And even when we had gotten to fights and get thrown into the police station, you know, we'd be like pretty tense. And usually the end result is sort of like, "Look, guys, you guys got to work it out first. Like, don't give us any more trouble. Please work it out.
Yeah, figure it out."
You know,
Usually,
money.
usually it's just some sort of like financial fine.
Yeah, just take some money. Do you think we're gonna get locked up?
First of all, are you getting into a lot of fights on the street in China? But secondly, this is also in America as well. You think cops, every time they arrest people for fighting, they're like, all right, well, we're going to charge you with these crimes, and now the DA is prosecuting. It's like most of the time you get thrown in the fucking jail for a night, especially if you're drunk, and the next day like kick you out, like get the fuck out of here.
It's like, just you're stupid. Just
you're a fucking moron.
So it's a very different relationship.
Yeah, we are recording a podcast still.
Yeah, and then to go back with the cameras, I lost my bag last year. I forgot it on a bike, and I was doing something. And it was like an hour later or something. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot my bag. My bag. And I went back and it was gone, obviously. And so I went to the police station, and then they're like,
what?
So we saw
someone stole your bike in great and glorious country of China. I thought nothing bad happened there ever.
They pulled up the video. They didn't show me, but they pulled up the video. Like, we got the video. We saw the bag. We saw the person who took it. We're looking into it, and we'll call you back. I kept waiting. I called back. Like yeah, we couldn't really track.
I'm joking, kind of like as I listen to this, but like, has Destiny gone over the Eric Hovagim stuff? Is he actually Hasan's producer? This is who we're listening to right now. Yes, like that's what I was just gonna say. This is Hasan's producer. Like, so if you're curious where all of the crazy pro Hasan China takes have come from, and I'm curious how long this guy was as producer too. I bet if I went back and I paid further attention, I bet I could guess. I bet he started working with Hasan like a few months before that China trip. Because you can see, and I bet this guy has helped Hasan refine his propaganda significantly as well.
Track it. Like, really? You have so many cameras, you couldn't really track it? It's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, just maybe one of the cameras are down or something. Like, he didn't have a correct answer. He had to ask other people.
Yeah, they lost the guy.
Well, basically, they lost a guy.
No.
And I was thinking, like, dude, your whole camera system, like, you seriously?
All this then.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea, I don't know the integration here between the forces, but like, you can have mass surveillance that not every single person has access to, right? Like, you have mass surveillance to some extent, like the NSA is collecting a lot of information on U.S. citizens, legally, whatever. Just because they're doing that doesn't mean that like a Podunk County sheriff that pulls you over can bring up the fucking NSA database to, go after you for like, I don't know if it's the same with local Chinese cops. If any cop just has access to every single fucking camera and can pull up whatever. But
much of that is, again, like the Western narrative of like Chinese society is like some sort of Black Mirror dystopian, like everyone's like face scan thing. Yeah. Like they have like the score and all the information you want on every single person. I mean, like, yes, this is not to say like they have a lot of information on who we are and everything. But the idea of like real-time tracking across the entire society, I think the American perspective of monitoring is the idea of like there's actively some person like sitting in front of like a screen or like hundreds of people sitting in front of a screen.
Staring at you.
Yeah, staring at you, watching you.
So that idea has always been goofy. I'm sure they do track some people like that, especially if they're like special foreigners or in certain areas. But the problem now is that with AI, you can probably do all of this stuff incredibly effectively. Somebody linked a story saying she got an abortion, so Texas cop used 83,000 cameras to track her down. Yeah, that sounded crazy. A friend was telling me about the story yesterday. They were trying to track down some woman who got an abortion in another state, and I don't even know how if they got like a warrant to go through all these cameras or whatever, but yeah, Jesus, that's wild. Not good.
As you take a shit on the toilet, he's watching it.
As you live your life,
yeah,
right? No, all of it is like reactive. If there is a crime committed or reported, then they have to go back through all that footage to try to find something. And sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not.
See, it's interesting though. I have an inverse story, sort of. I had a friend who had gotten on a high-speed rail. It was when I was in Zhejiang. We went to. I think after that we went to like Yibin, which is like where Wu Liangye is from, the baiju.
Yeah.
Bro, that's some good ass baiju. Fuck. During that train trip, the lady had forgotten her bag on the train, and so it just kept going. And literally within, I think it was like
Is he about to say, and nobody stole the lady's bag because all of China is so nice? How did that one guy's bike get stolen earlier?
Hour and a half. They had called the train station and been like, hey, I left my bag on the train. They used whatever cameras to find out where the bag was. They got it. They put it into some I think it was like a DD delivery guy or something. He drove it like a town over, and within like an hour and a half, she had the bag with her computer, multiple cameras, literally like tens of thousands of dollars worth of like not only like physical equipment, but also like footage she had shot from like different countries and stuff on hard drives and whatnot. Like worth a
Doesn't most, I don't know, if you've ever had your iPhone stolen before though, you can easily tell because if you can track it on the Find My, doesn't most of the stolen shit end up in places in China? Isn't it literally China where all of the stolen phones end up where they hack them apart? Or is that going to like places in Taiwan or Hong Kong or some shit?
ton of money to her.
It's always sad. I feel like I would be so mad. People will post on Reddit or whatever. I lost my phone yesterday, and like 36 hours later, the Find My, they already see that it's in some weird province in fucking China, and it's like, how the fuck do they even move this shit this fast? What the fuck?
Returned within under 2 hours. So they were able to use whatever sort of like video footage to actually return her bag in that instance. And I hear that, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But then I hear this, I'm like, maybe they need to up it a little bit, you know?
Well, it's hit and miss sometimes, right? I guess, depending on maybe hit or miss, the circumstances. But honestly, where else in the world does this happen?
Nowhere.
Like,
somebody said, I'm sorry, the bike story was in Paris. Oh, that makes more sense then. So of course, obviously, because then Europe is failing and falling apart as well. Yeah.
Honest question. I'm not even rhetorical. Like, where else does this happen? You think maybe Japan? Like, do they are they? You think
what is this? You mean?
Like his example, of, like having all this stuff.
I can tell you a very personal story in Japan, in a Japanese airport.
Yes, they literally flip them and take out the SIM cards. Oh yeah, real quick, because this is a scam that I would definitely fall for until I read about it on Reddit. If you ever lose your phone, and then you get like a text message from somebody and they say something along the lines of like, hey, I'm just contacting you to let you know that I believe your phone was stolen recently. And if you, one of the people are trying to hack your account or something, and after a certain number of tries, they're probably going to be able to get in. So, I mean, it sucks that you lost your phone, but if I were you, I would remove your iPhone from the Find My thing, because if they're able to hack your iPhone and get into the Find My thing, then that means they're going to be able to basically compromise all your other Apple devices. So you should just remove it from the Find My thing or whatever. That's like the scam. But what happens is if you remove your iPhone from a Find My account, it allows them to factory reset the phone, which allows them to sell the phone at like a higher value because they don't have to chop it for parts. So if you ever lose your phone, don't ever remove it from the Find My. Leave it on there forever, because people will say shit like that just to get you to remove it, and then
Rita. I took a shit and my wallet fell out and I didn't realize, and I went off. And I remember it was like 45 minutes, an hour later.
How would you get the text? I think because they removed the SIM from the first phone and then they wait for you to get a SIM in your next phone or something like that. I guess I don't know, something like that.
I couldn't find my wallet. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm in the airport. And that shit's gone.
Yeah.
Right? In the bathroom. Right? And so I went back to like the bathroom. It was gone. And then I didn't know what else to do. So I just went to like a customer service like center kind of thing. I just went there. I'm like, oh, I lost my wallet and stuff like that. It's like, what would it look like? And I described it. He's like, was it this? I'm like, oh shit, it was. And not $1 was missing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But that's awesome. But even that's still a little bit different, because that's the lost and found. You were still in the same general.
It was like a customer service area, like a customer.
So you were still in the location, right? What he's talking about is
not far.
They drove.
I know.
And back.
But even still, there's like a degree of trust. Like no one was enticed by the wonderful bidet toilets they had, sitting on the like warm little seat with the little water hitting their butthole and looking down and being like, oh wait, there's a wallet here for me.
No cameras, nothing. You can easily take it.
That is nice. Yeah. But, well, I mean, Japan, maybe there are cameras in the bathroom sometimes.
It's a big business.
It's a big business over there. Yeah.
Someone offered to buy your underwear.
I do feel like if that happened in New York or something like that,
it'd be gone, bro. It would be you would never see that shit again. No, there's no shot. New York is a different place.
As we're saying all this, I think maybe what you were hinting at before, how it was also, it's like, well, if we're talking about surveillance, we're talking about the police here. You know, we're talking about like positive interactions we've had. This is, of course, not to say that police here have never abused their power.
Balance the propaganda. Come on,
100% perfect.
Or any injustices. I disagree.
Revisionist reactionary.
But see, this is like, and I was actually talking to Daniel about this, but I feel like whenever we talk like positively about China.
Can't give the democratic Asian countries too much credit either, though. It's the same thing. No, of course not. They always shit on, especially South Korea. They'll also, I don't hear them shit on Japan as much sometimes, but South Korea is the big one they attack. That guy that dude was talking about earlier, I don't even remember his fucking name, but apparently he was like a massive authoritarian, crazy dude that had, the guy that was responsible for like the miracle on the River Din or some bullshit. I don't know. He was like a authoritarian leader in South Korea that pushed them forward a little bit. So even when they're giving them credit, they're pointing to authoritarian people. But
there's like, I feel like, there's a social need for us, because I know, and I'm very aware of people that just want to hear you be critical of the country. And so when you speak positively, they just can't take it.
Imagine if you had to do that about literally any other country on the planet. Like, imagine when dumbass Americans were like, man, I rode the high-speed train in Japan, and man, that train was really cool. It was really fast. You're like, okay, but have you heard about the Nanjing massacre? It's like, bro, like, come on, I just want to talk about the train, dude. Like, don't get me wrong, I am very critical of Japan. It's like, well, maybe that's not a great example, but even then,
you had to be careful. You had to backtrack on that Japan example. Okay, that's good.
United States, maybe you could make the inverse thing where it's like, okay, well, it's like anytime you talk about like a negative of the United States, like we just bombed a girls' school in Iran. It's like, okay, yeah, but also we have like iPhones, you know, it's like that would even be more fair than
literally Nobody does this. Everybody shit. It is the most popular thing in America is to shit on America. That's all everybody does over here. Who the fuck is defending literally anything that America does anymore? If you do that, you're literally called a fucking shill. It is the most popular pastime in the United States to shit on the United States. Boring.
Being like, yeah, but China had some bad problems. Yeah, you might have nice things now, but at what cost?
But at what cost? Exactly.
I think this goes back to where we're talking about how the idea of a conspiracy theory is a lot more diluted to many people, especially the young people today.
Do you know who coined the term conspiracy theory to begin with?
Who?
The CIA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's well documented.
Wow.
They were the first ones to coin the term.
Yeah, you cause confusion. You cause, it's a smart move.
Yeah.
You know,
They cooked with that. To be fair, that was a pretty good one. I got to give it to them. Like,
they're good.
Man, their branding department.
They're real good. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just makes me think about how flimsy of a structure the governmental system or even the political and the legal system that the United States, well, probably most countries in the world, I would say, probably. I mean, without any truth in that. But at least in the American system, the more information that gets available and leaked out, quote unquote, the more you realize how flimsy everything is. Right? It's just such a weird thing to wake up to. Because we used to just live in a very bubble world. You know, we just live in, you have your Sunday paper, back in the day.
Like you guys in
Sunday paper, the
Shanghai,
headlines.
huh?
Ooh, that's what's happening in Europe. Okay. And then you got like, you flip the page, it's like, oh, this kid got the award in high school. That's nice. And then you go over here, it's like, oh, the stock just.
But it's nice in China. I don't read about anything bad ever happening over here. Our papers are so nice. I don't think it's quite that bad in China, but
that looks good. Okay,
good. Making some money. I can buy my 8th house.
And then
meanwhile, I hope my NordVPN is still active so I can upload this podcast onto YouTube because China blocks all outside connections to the internet, by the way.
Flip another page, like, oh, look,
the word puzzle.
You got Calvin Hobbes. Okay, well, that's a nice comment. The world seems okay right now. Oh, we got a little war going on. Oh, okay.
It's far away.
Yeah, it's just you kind of lived in this little bubble, and that's the way they wanted it, right? But now that the information is so open, it's just so hard to control.
I will say, though, the thing that I hate the most, for the fucking Chinese, the thing that I hate the most is that it does feel like China has figured out that, like, the way to grow as an adult is to try to dominate the world with your industry, with your intelligence, and with your economy. Whereas for some stupid fucking reason, the absolute banal children in the United States who have elected Trump feel like, oh, well, actually, the way to take over the world is literally to fucking kill everybody. And that's how we show that we're the most strong. We got to blow everything up and kill every fucking person, show all the fucking, and then we have to manufacture every fucking thing we can here. And that's the only way to be a real country. We got to fucking kill everybody. And that's to show how strong we are to kill all the people. It's like, really?
There's no doubt in my mind with AI coming out and stuff like that they're going to utilize that.
It's going to be so much more fun.
I think the bigger issue with AI right now is the video and photo manipulation.
Yeah, that's scary.
Capabilities.
Yeah.
We're already living in a world where you can't trust what you see, right? And it's AI video and photos and audio and all that. It's pretty good. It's not 100% yet.
Like you can still catch it.
You can still catch it.
It's getting to the point though that like
what happens when you can't catch it?
It's getting close.
There's a lot of things where I'm like,
I work in the video field. I've done AI work for clients and stuff like that.
They make you do AI stuff?
Yeah.
What do they do?
So this is a different conversation, but it's I've had a recent conversation about AI use in videos commercially. From the West and China. I had a client from Europe and Germany, and I was doing a commercial for them, a watch brand, and so we were talking about AI, right? And I was like, so what's it like over there? So because AI is getting crazy over here in China, so what's it like over there? They're like, nah, yeah, we don't really like to use it, and it's still a bit of a taboo,
all right.
And I mean, it's there. You got the slop. I'm like,
a lot of slop.
Yeah, a lot of slop.
A lot of slop.
It's like, we don't really want to use it, stuff like that. Maybe for like some VFX, but not like all AI video. No way, And I'm like, yeah, I get it. They're like, how about you in China? I'm like, no, it's the opposite here. People are pretty welcoming of it. If anything, they're like, wow, that was really well done. And you don't get as much like pushback, which is mind blowing to me because as somebody who works in the field and talking with other people that are creators and knowing that the job market is changing because of it, the budgets are getting slashed and the demand is getting higher. It blows my mind that there's not pushback.
Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, I think there's different levels to this. Growing up in America, if I went to film school, so people around, they're all passionate about film, and even non-filmmakers can understand the idea of passion with film and the art of it. I would say the majority of the public here, they don't have as much of that type of relationship. It's more about I need to survive, so I needed to make money. Okay, and for example, it's very interesting for people outside the industry. A gaffer, which is like a electrician or the person who controls the light. Okay. the gaffer and then the lighting team, a lot of them come from literally certain areas in China. So you got like the Sichuan crowd, you got the Henan crowd, you got different crowd. They own like there's like a whole bunch of them own the equipment and like all the team members, and they just come from these little provinces, like little areas.
They're almost like gangs, right?
Yes,
like they control that, like,
and they're
part of the
cartels.
Yeah, literally.
The Gaffer cartel. Everyone thinks it's the Jews. It's actually the Sichuanese.
So it's very interesting. But what I'm trying to get at is because if you talk to some of like the grips and stuff like that, and you have some conversation, you're not going to get to the level of being like, "What's your favorite film?" or what are some films you really like? They probably like, I don't know. I just do my job, But meanwhile, in the States or something like that, you talk to a grip. Maybe they want to be a gaffer, they want to be a DP, and so they're kind of like, yeah, I love this film. So it's a very different relationship to filmmaking. So now I'm not saying everyone's like that. Of course, you're going to have anomalies, but the general consensus is that. Now the main roles, like the DP or the director or something like that, they're so passionate and stuff like that. You can have those kind of conversations, but not all of them. And so it's interesting. So based off of that, when you have that type of relationship, you're only thinking monetarily of, is it going to solve the problem? Now, if the problem is from a brand perspective, I need to create a commercial to send to the public, and the public already looks at commercials like it's a commercial. It's not a piece of art. It doesn't matter to me. It's just a commercial that they don't care. So they're just like, whatever, it's a commercial. No one cares. It's just commercials are the devil anyway. So it doesn't matter. But then you have pushback in the West when McDonald's or Coca-Cola came out and a fully AI generated commercial. There was a huge pushback. So now only you got like Kashi and like shit like whatever those like poly market shit, like those kind of fucking shit of the world.
What's more dystopian than that? Like being able to bet on everyday life and the real.
No, I'm serious.
That's like
it's awesome. It's horrible. I love it. Anyway, use my promo code. Sign up, Eric H, and check it out. That's crazy. It is great. It's really destroying America. If you want America to fall apart, you'll root every day for Polymarket, the Kashi, every betting app, the FanDuels, the DraftKings. You want those to do that because I think they're ripping.
But okay, I have a little bit of a contrarian view without knowing too much about all that. People who are critical of like Polymarket and Kashi and this idea of like being able to bet on like everyday stuff. Why would you be critical of that, but you're not critical of like the stock market? Like stock market is basically gambling, and you're gambling again on corporations, and you're giving corporations money, and they're profiting from your.
100% agree. I 1,000,000% agree.
And so,
thank you.
And so look at that.
This is awesome.
So why is it all of a sudden a bad thing once these corporations can't profit from your betting?
Yes,
but it's okay when they can.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We should ban the American stock market too. The New York Stock Exchange should be abolished. We should destroy the American stock market. I think it is 100% speculative. I don't believe any like average Joe person is like investing serious amounts of money into the stock market with the real knowledge that like someone who wants a long-term benefit to the entire world or the United States even has. I think it's very much so. I want short-sighted gains. I want to invest in the GameStop. I want it to go up 100x. I want to invest in the shit coins. I want those to go up 1,000,000x. I want to invest in the next Bitcoin. Like they're not doing it because they see some sort of long-term vision for some world-changing product that is being invented in the United States. They're doing it for the exact same reasons. They are betting on things on Kalshi or Polymarket or whatever, and they want that short-term little monetary gain. They want the little dopamine hit. They want to be able to brag to their friends, like, yeah, bro, I got into GME like 3 years before you, There's something to be said about that. But I don't think it's good for society. No.
Well, see, I was coming up from a different angle in terms of like maybe not extreme as you. Like I wouldn't be like wanting to ban the stock market, but I'm saying like at least what I've heard is that most people who are critical of like Polymarket and stuff like that it's more for a moral reason. You're betting on like tragic events around the world, if they happen or not, right? Things with real life consequences. And I totally get that argument. But betting on a company, especially a big one, I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people that work under that company whose livelihoods depend on the ups and downs of that company. You're hedging your bets on whether that company is going to survive or go down or profit or not profit. The ups and downs, right? The
fire those employees, lay off some staff.
Exactly. And so those bets also have real life consequences, and the people that directly work for those companies, not even to mention the things that are downstream effects of what that company does. So if it's a big, let's say a defense contracting company like Lockheed.
Friend of the show, Raytheon.
Raytheon, friend of the show, sponsor of the show. If it's them, I mean, what like the consequences of what they do around the world? And you're betting on that. Like, why is that more morally just than betting on if the Iran war starts on this date versus not? Like, I mean, things like that. Like, I see it hypocritical to be like critical of one and not the other. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, this is an important conversation to be had because I think this has been a criticism that people have had in the past. But I think what someone will say is there is regulation to try to prevent that insider trading that has occurred over like the past few centuries. But the thing is, all of the trust people have had in government has been eroded because we've seen Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio go from a measly little, 10 million to now hundreds of millions of dollars, outperforming index funds by 5 or 10x.
Well, like outperforming like the most famed investors like Warren Buffett or whatever. Like
what the fuck are we doing?
Like you're the best investor in the world that the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
And you happen to also deal in policy that affects these companies. But that's the thing. That's the disillusionment. Part of the disillusionment is like there's all the rules apply, but don't apply to people in Congress.
Yes.
Don't apply to people in government who actually have a material effect on the outcome of these things.
So I think
and the valuation of these things.
Yes. So, but I think like the American populace is at a point now where you have some folks who like, okay, we want to enforce these laws for everyone. Of course, we don't want to be in this class of people who exploit each other. And then there's this other class, this other group of people who think, yeah, I mean, this is just, the system's always going to be this way. I want to be a part of that. I want to take advantage of this insider information that I have. So if I'm a product manager at OpenAI, I want to bet on when the next model is going to come out because I know when this is going to come out, of course. If I work in the Department of War at the United States government, I know when we're launching these strikes on Venezuela, on Cuba, on Iran, on whoever. I'm going to use that insider information because, like, listen, Donald Trump Jr. is on the board of advisors of Polymarket. I'm not going to get in trouble. Nancy Pelosi hasn't been getting in trouble. Why the fuck would I, some random like product manager at Raytheon, get in trouble for this new weapon sale we just did when I know that we're about to use these weapons on whatever country? So I think it's whether or not people in oftentimes the working class want to have this aspiration, which is in many ways, I think, the American dream of joining the capitalist class, joining the owners, the oligarchs, the folks who own all of the means of production. And they want to ascend to that level so they can exploit everyone else and be in this sort of like higher level class and reap the rewards of these violent systems that we've put in place. And then, of course, there's that other group of people, the other contingency of folks who I think are probably against Polymarket, probably against Kalshi, probably against oftentimes the stock market like myself, at least the American stock market, and say, I don't know. I think it's a much better society in which we just enforce all of these laws equally, independent of whether or not you are a member of Congress or someone who's just an average like construction worker or something. It's a crazy concept, but people should all be held accountable to the same legal system that we put in place to hold us to a certain standard. Like that feels so simple, but as an American, it seems so outlandish. It seems so crazy.
Yeah. I think that's one of the, I don't know how to say it, like maybe the biggest lies, I think, is that people in America have been conditioned to believe that the fight is left versus right.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
It's up versus down.
Mm-hmm.
The fight has always been up versus down. And they're the ones that want you to believe that the fight, no, it's not up versus down. It's not the upper class versus you. It's not the oligarchs versus everyone else. It's left versus right. You guys squabble about that.
Yeah.
While both sides, no matter left or right, are profiting from that.
Yeah.
And ultimately have the same goal. Some just disguise it better than the other. That's
100%.
Well, that's the poly market, the left and right.
Hell yeah.
Which side are you going? Yeah.
No, it's crazy though. It's like, bro, my landlord is not a Guatemalan immigrant who came here seeking refuge from like the Mayan genocide, bro. My landlord is some faceless, nameless corporation staffed by like 3 billionaires. Like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, like, why are we trying to criminalize
fund somewhere?
Who gives a shit? And you can say that to anyone on the left or the right. If you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's like, bro, the guy who raised your rent is not some dude from like is trying to escape some terrible violent condition in like Latin America. The guy who raised your rent is some dickhead at the top of some board of CEOs who was like, well, actually, I think if we got all of these other landlords together,
and we can milk a little bit more on them.
What are they going to do? What, are they going to live without a house? Fuck no, they're not going to do that. Come on.
So, okay, so we're kind of talking about this idea of like runaway hypercapitalism in America, which is how I see it. Speaking to what we're talking about in terms of the younger generation in society, they're kind of feeling the cracks in that idea, and they're unfortunately paying the price for that. We've been dancing around this, but like I haven't directly asked you, like what would you identify yourself as then politically if you had to choose a label, I guess, if we had to throw you into a bucket, right?
Yeah. I think it's thankfully as a consequence of some of the new developments in the United States, I think it's become much more permissible, at least in America, to describe yourself as a socialist. I think in recent time, it's been okay to say you're a democratic socialist, even very normal folks are.
Well, which is what Zoran
said. Yes. Yeah. I would say I'm a socialist. I think I am very interested in the various communist nations around the world that have uplifted so many people out of poverty. I would like to learn from them as much as I possibly can and, communize the United States of America, brother, but no, like genuinely, I would like to learn as much as I can and try to bring some of those lessons back to home, back to Mamdanistan, and see if we can enact some meaningful change. I don't know if it has to be incremental or if, frankly, the entire thing needs to be turned on its head and there needs to be a whole new system. But I think that's a debate that many people around the world outside of the United States have been having for a considerable amount of time. And I think recently I've been very sympathetic to the movements that have successfully turned entire systems on their heads. So I've grown very sympathetic to the systems that I've seen abroad, such as in places like China or even Vietnam, Laos. I recently went to Laos. I went to Vietnam last month. I went to Laos last month. And Oh my God.
Vietnam's an exciting place, right?
A lot of people moving there.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, they say Vietnam is now what Shanghai was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Like that excitement level, yeah.
Too many tourists though. So many French people. Oh my God.
Oh, that's a no-no then. Oh, that's a no-no then.
So many French, dude. I ran into it.
On the previous podcast, we were ripping on Italian people. We're talking Italian people don't know how to make pizza. Now we're like French people.
Italian people. You know, honestly, before coming to China, I hated all Europeans. After coming to China, I hate all Europeans more, except Italians. I met a lot of Italians here. They've been very nice. French, oh my God, bro.
Why?
They are so stuck up. Oh God, dude. They're like, these Chinese, they need a little sophistication. We're going to the French concession. We will have the escargot. We have the snails. They have the snails, but that was a betel. Shut the fuck up, Paris. Go
More
back.
of that.
To your
More of that.
stinky,
There was more.
unshowered little bitch place. It's disgusting. The French people piss me off so much. They're so arrogant. The thing is, too, Europeans.
Okay, so just as a quick thing, when we talk about because peace go endlessly virtue signals on this, what do you mean when you say they're in the tent? What do you mean when you say we should push them out of the tent? What do you mean when you say blah, blah, blah? If there was anybody that was working as a Republican in the United States and we found out that the person that sets up all of their interviews is in another country talking about how oh yeah, I'm a secret fascist, or not, I'm openly a fascist or openly a communist, everybody would be making a video saying oh, well, look at this troubling development. We've just figured out where Donald Trump is getting his talking points from, where Stephen Miller is getting his talking points from, where Benny Johnson or all those other people are getting their talking points from. This guy is just an open communist, says it, I want to communize America, and nobody will cover it. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to, it's just cringe.
Are very arrogant. And they think that they are brilliant. Americans, I have to give it to us, we are very dumb. We're maybe the dumbest country, the dumbest developed country out there. But we know we're stupid. We know that we're fucking morons. And we're kind of okay with
you guys.
I'm okay. If a Chinese person came up to me and was like, you're an idiot, you don't know anything about China, I'd be like, yeah, you're right, fucking I'm an idiot. I'm okay with that. If they said it to a French person, they'd be like, I cannot believe you are so...
If you close your eyes, you can hear Hasan when he speaks. Yeah, I mean, this guy's obviously been helping Hasan a ton prep his talking points and everything, for sure.
Sophisticated is oh my God, bro.
There's something here that's deeper here. There's a deeper core. There's a deeper core anger here. Your hate for French people.
Because, no, they haven't reckoned with anything. They emptied out Africa. All of the streets of Paris are paved with the blood of tens of millions of Africans who they enslaved, and they have not reckoned with any of it. And their food still sucks, in my opinion. It's bro, same with Britain, too. Britain, it's if you're going to go around and colonize the entire world, literally for the spice trade, to get more spices,
get some better food.
Does your food suck so badly, bro?
One of the biggest mysteries of human existence.
There's a million things you can say. America is a victim of its own success in ways. All of the amazing things that they're talking about China doing has been done at, they don't have to be imperialists that take over other places or whatever, because they have their own population that they can exploit. It's so funny that we will say American companies are evil for exploiting weak Chinese labor. And then it's you go to China, it's China's amazing that they've exploited all of their labor in order to build such a glorious society. While they, in a roundabout way, take advantage of all of the imperialism and wealth building and everything else that all of these other capitalist countries have done. So, I mean, it's cringe, whatever.
It's crazy. The only good thing they've ever produced, the only good thing Britain has ever produced is chicken tikka masala. I would die on that hill. Invented in England, thank God, by a wonderful immigrant. Invented in England by a wonderful immigrant who finally brought a little bit of culture and civilization, societal benefits to the British people. Oh my God. They've not produced a single other good thing. It's nuts.
I didn't know that. I didn't know chicken tikka masala was...
Invented in England, yes. Yeah.
So it's not even native to India then, that dish. Wow.
Like General Charles chicken.
Yeah, we always talk about Chinese American food.
Yeah. Wait, actually, I want to bring up something.
Orange chicken.
As him mentioning American Chinese food, I still think one of the funniest videos on the internet was Chinese people and Chinese immigrants try. It was second generation versus first generation Chinese people trying Panda Express, and I think every single second, third generation immigrant, so every 20-year-old basically kid from San Francisco and LA are oh yeah, this is so horrible, so disgusting, not anything like traditional Chinese food, so gross. And I feel for a little over half of the dishes, the older Chinese people oh, this is actually pretty good. Oh, this kind of tastes like whatever. This cringe, oh God, I don't know, whatever, dude.
So we were just.
By the way, we just lost all our European listeners.
Sorry, Roy. It's my bad.
I'll come back a little bit on that. So we just went off on French, Italian, whoever. We're obviously joking to a certain extent.
You guys are joking about this.
But what I find interesting is, what if we change those countries to China, and we're joking fucking Chinese people and just going off? Mm-hmm. Pushback would come out. Or if you say African countries or something like that, pushback would come out because it's much more sensitive to talk about it.
But
why
also,
is that?
Well, because they haven't been the privileged.
Yes.
And European countries and Western countries, by and large, have throughout at least modern history, have been the privileged colonizers. And so it's fair game to punch up, but you shouldn't be punching down, I guess.
Have you heard of the term?
What? Hold on.
Or if you say African countries or something like that, pushback will come out because it's much more sensitive to talk about it.
But
why
also,
is that?
well, because they haven't been the privileged.
Yes.
And European countries and Western countries, by and large, have throughout at least modern history, have been the privileged colonizers. And so it's fair game to punch up, but you shouldn't be punching down.
Oh my God.
Have you heard of the term Yakubian ape?
Nope.
Have you heard of this? So in the
Okay. Are we? He's about to bring up how goofy this is, right? Is it Nation of Islam? There's a group of people, black people, that think that Yaqub was an evil scientist that created white people to destroy the planet or something.
the idea, like there's the Nation of Islam, which is this definitely, like, it's a radical bunch of folks. I don't really believe in anything they have to say. They are very crazy in many ways, and they're kind of a cult. It's like a black nationalist cult in the United States, but they have some interesting ideas, and one of which is this idea of Yaqub, where the entire world leading up until recent history was black, brown, and then there was this evil scientist. There's this black dude with this massive forehead, like looks like Megamind almost, and he was this evil doctor, this evil scientist who invented white people to punish the rest of the people on Earth. And he sent down all of these white people to inhabit all of these regions, to colonize, to plunder. And I kind of ascribe to that. I'm like, you know, they kind of had a fair point. A lot of the white folks in Europe did a lot of really bad things throughout history.
Only them, by the way.
Reason
But
why
only
we
them.
attribute
Only
that,
them.
we allow this
Only
sort of
them.
slander of dumbass French people is because they did so much damage to Africa, to Indochina, to the rest of the world.
But even the parts in the Middle East, you're talking about like Israel and Palestine. I mean, those lines were drawn by like was the French and the British,
the
too.
Brits, the French as well. They were all fucking getting together and being like, "Oh, we're this white occupier. We can draw these lines."
Knowing nothing about like the cultural history, they just drew lines arbitrarily.
This is literally not true. There's a reason why almost all of the borders that they did draw ended up basically sticking, by the way. You can call them arbitrary, but I mean, you think the Ottoman Empire was sensitive to the needs of the individuals, you know, inside of the country or whatever you would call it, prior to the Brits, you know, beating them in World War I? Like, come on.
And people are still fighting in those lands today.
Like India and Pakistan is such a crazy divide. Like, they should not have this tension. It was completely manufactured by the dumbass fucking British Empire who came in and split people up who had otherwise lived in a fairly borderless world for their entire existence until these.
I don't know the history of India as well, but didn't India themselves and Pakistan, didn't they themselves want to do huge population transfers? I know Turkey did huge. People just have this. It's just this is like the noble savage. This is a real thing that people should be forced to address. I know nobody will ever make them, but like this idea that every single person on the planet was just this nice, peaceful person until the evil Europeans showed up is just such a retarded telling of history. It's so fucking stupid. It's like retardedly fictional. It's just so, it's like they're not even trying to be. It's like straight pure propaganda.
Dumbass fucking British came in and we're like, well, actually, we're gonna split you up, and now, yeah, Kashmir, good luck with that. I hope you guys figure it out. Bye, see you. And it's like, now their food still sucks, dude. It's like
that's the important thing about really understanding history. Like when you know these things, a lot of the dots start connecting.
Yeah, and I can also say from our French friends here that whatever we rag on them,
they love it.
They're like, yeah,
we did.
They know. Especially British people, I'd say. Like at least the British people I've met here, they're very aware of like the atrocities that the empire has committed in the past.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. But it's like, I don't know, this is okay. To your point, this is actually very anecdotal. This is just my personal observation. Europeans, especially Europeans that have lived here for a while, they are much more prone to lecturing you.
Yeah.
Where Americans don't really lecture. They have their opinions, but they kind of keep it to themselves or whatever. Europeans will lecture more, I feel.
They love a good lecture. Oh, they love. They're all doing TED Talks to everyone. It's all the time. It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. Yeah, the Brits come and do that shit.
8 months. 8 months, he's already feeling that. 8 months.
Though they fucking, oh my god, dude! It's not just China; they go around the entire fucking world. Even people like diplomats in Kenya say this all the time, or in in Kenya specifically, but all throughout Africa, they're always like, "Listen, man, the Chinese come to our
8 months. 8 months, he's already
whatever." Europeans will lecture more, I feel.
They love a good lecture. Oh my god, they love. They're all doing TED Talks to everyone. It's all the time. It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. Yeah, the Brits come and do that shit.
8 months. 8 months, he's already feeling that. 8 months.
It's everywhere, though. They fucking, oh my god, dude! It's not just China; they go around the entire fucking world. Even people like diplomats in Kenya say this all the time, or in in Kenya specifically, but all throughout Africa, they're always like, "Listen, man, the Chinese come to our country, they leave, we have a hospital. The Brits come to our country, they leave, we have a lecture left with us." It's like, bro, what the fuck? They don't come and bring infrastructure, they come and give us a fucking lecture about how to govern ourselves, dude. It's nuts. It's like, I wish you had had that same thought in mind when you were out here colonizing us 100 years ago, sometimes even more recently. Americans were dumb, but we know that we're dumb. You know.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Going back to you for a second. Obviously, you have strong opinions.
Yeah.
You seem to be very politically active in your work, both with the Zoran and everything else, and the content that you do. Does activist fit for you as like you're kind of a political activist?
Sure. I think whatever title best I guess allows some of the ideas I say to enter into the hearts and minds of the people. If it's activist, if it's content creator, if it's dumbass influencer who has to eat noodles and talk about the industrial development of rural China, I will do whatever the fuck it takes. Because I my only goal is to produce content that is interesting enough for people to watch, to make them to keep their attention, while also teaching them something about the material history of why things are the way
Jesus Christ,
why
bro.
some countries are rich, why some countries are poor,
and
how we can effectively move forward
and the
to
Western
make sure
world.
that the tide lifts all of our boats together
need
without having to go
multipolarity.
out and bomb the boats in the Pacific Ocean who Donald Trump says are drug trafficking or some nonsense like that. That is the only thing I care about. So activist, whatever title, I don't really give a shit. I call myself a political commentator. Sometimes I call myself a video creator, but whatever gets into hearts and minds of folks.
Is there a side of you that's like telling yourself, well, look, I gotta check myself sometimes? Because I'm sure there are plenty of people who will hear you, watch your videos, or even hear this podcast, or hear you speak on any number of other interviews that you've done, and be like, well, this guy's a radicalist.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Yeah, he's crazy. Completely radical.
Look how he's dressed.
Yeah,
because you are because you are so far outside of that status quo norm, and you are very outspoken about that, and you're very unapologetic about that. Is there a part of you that's like, okay, well, look, I'm a human being. We're all human beings, and like all human beings, we're also very susceptible of drinking our own Kool-Aid from time to time, and we can get in this echo chamber and this rabbit hole of our own thoughts, and we can go off the deep end. Is there that part of you that's like, I have to kind of check that from time to time?
No. I think the way I view things in my own personal life, and I'm very lucky in that I'm able to say, like, listen, as long as I'm able to just like have enough money to put food on the table, to have a roof over my head, I'm happy to do whatever the fuck it takes and say whatever the fuck I think is useful in this moment.
Bro, you're rich. Bruh, you are the elite. You're fucking loaded. Hello? This guy's talking like he's like a preacher evangelizing, like barely making it.
In order to try to get to the hearts and the minds of the people, because I think that history will absolve me. I think history will absolve people saying the same things that I'm saying right now. Because in 5 years, in 10 years from now, when things in the United States are most likely considerably worse than they are right now, people will be looking back and saying, man, there's been a few people who've been saying this was going to happen the entire time, and that there is actually a better world possible, but I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, you know what? They were saying it in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s as well. And then guess what happened? The Soviet Union fucking collapsed and lost. Like, okay, buddy.
What did they say about what we could be doing right now? Is it too late to start implementing that? And I think it will give the folks who are saying this exact same message credibility. As things start to unravel, as things start to become more concrete, the contradictions start to sharpen around them, where rent starts to just increase at rates that it's completely unsustainable, where whatever form of automation starts getting rid of people's work, even if it's not that fucking good, like people are going to see that. And in the same way that like you can change people's hearts and minds by taking them to China and being like, look at the material world around you, the same thing's going to happen in the United States and the West and in Europe, dumbass Europe. And they think they're not susceptible to any of this, but they are. It's going to happen in Europe as well, where the material conditions will get to the point where they simply cannot ignore what is going on. And in that moment, people in America, in Europe, wherever, in the developed world, will look back and say, there's been some people saying this is going to happen this entire time. They've been echoing this message about trying to create a better future, not just for this rich oligarchic class, but like the actual people, myself who goes to work 10 hours a day, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, making money for someone who I've never even met in person. And I think as that starts to happen, this message will resonate deeper and deeper with people. And so even at the potential expense of alienating people right now, I do believe history will absolve some of the things that I'm saying. I hopefully all, but I'm sure I'm wrong about some things. And I hopefully won't be too arrogant to admit that in the future when I realize that I'm wrong about some things. But I think that is the struggle that I would like to think I'm going through right now, if that makes sense.
It's your faith in that you're on the right side of history right now.
It's conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think my goal is to look at history, especially post-World War II history, and figure out why things are the way they are in this new world order, figure out what countries have done well, what countries have done poorly, and try to explain that in terms that respect the material history and also respect where people are in their own political journeys, their historical journeys, and try to figure out the best way of communicating that to people. And I know 100%, sometimes I'll probably use terms that are too stupid or too broad, too ridiculous, too fucking pedantic, and maybe speak down to folks, maybe speak up to folks. But the idea of making these videos time and time again and trying to refine the craft video after video is trying to get to a point where I can communicate to as broad of an audience as is possible to like receive the message, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of people are really frustrated, at least in the United States. They're very frustrated with the state of affairs.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, there's this creeping nihilism that's seeping into their bones. I think that's really scary. Because a lot of people want to do some cool shit. They want things to get better, but they haven't seen that ever. And so if we shine a little light on some of the specks of history that have demonstrated that things actually can improve and sprinkle it with a little bit of revolutionary optimism, then I think, we can actually get to them little by little.
Is there anything about your impression of China or your experience in China so far that you don't like?
Yeah, of course. There are, of course, little quality of life elements that I'm like, it's always just like silly little things. Like people driving down the sidewalks on scooters and honking at me. It's like, bro, this is a sidewalk. You're not supposed to be driving your scooter here. That's a little frustrating. There's got to be some other things too.
Software.
I think maybe also the literal software of some platforms. As silly as it is, as an American, I'm very used to doing things on my computer. This is like a really dumb little thing, but it's like a big quality of life things at times where like if I'm trying to fill out a form, 9 times out of 10, the whatever site is optimized for like WeChat or Alipay, and like little things like that kind of piss me off. Where I'm like, oh fuck, I have to go to my phone to do this rather than just being able to do it on my computer like I'm used to, or even
or everything's optimized for Windows and not Mac.
Yeah, it's just like little silly things like that where I'm like, I'm genuinely very surprised that it feels like hardware-wise, like genuine hardware, like phones and stuff are so advanced, cars are so advanced, but it feels like actually like the software on them sometimes is not as polished as it is in America. And I think this is also a very interesting example of what capitalist development looks like, which is like software, all things considered, is relatively cheap to develop. If you fuck up some software, if you mess it up, if there's a lot of bugs.
This guy worked with Mamdani? Yes, over the commercial shit at least, and then I think helped him in other ways. And then this is the guy that is setting up all of Hasan's interviews now. He's like Hasan's producer for his interview stuff. So this is where all of the new super pro Chinese propaganda stuff has been coming from.
You can polish it fairly
as an American whose family is from South Africa, who moved to the U.S., got a huge education here, founded a company, sold it, made millions, and now moved to China and is now doing Chinese propaganda from China through this podcast in China and other means, like being Hasan's campaign guy. A third of Democrats now identify as Democratic Socialists. Okay, again, most of the people that are identifying as Democratic Socialists are not like full-blown fucking socialists. But this does help the actual socialists because it allows them to sneakily make people... No, don't go over there. God damn it.
They sadly I don't think, explain what they asked.
It wouldn't surprise me. It allows the weirdo socialist types to get away with the deliberate obfuscation of the terms and everything and pull more people in. Oh, do you know that Queem guy?
I know Queem in.
No, the Queem, is his name like Queem is Yellow or something on Twitter?
Never heard of him.
I feel like you must have. He's like insane. Like I wonder if you saw it, you would recognize him.
Oh, Gato Fumbador? Yeah, I know that guy. He's insane.
So that guy worked with, now maybe he was just a volunteer or phone bank or whatever, but he worked on El Sayed's campaign in 2018.
Pretty crazy.
I wonder if I want to put together a big tweet later today and see if I can add these campaigns and see if anybody will pick up on it. But like, because that guy tweets so much unhinged shit. He's deleted a lot of tweets in the past, and I don't think he knows that people still have these, but thank you for further illustrating why no one takes Green seriously. We were making 150 calls a day and knocking doors constantly for Abdul. His ground game coverage was absolutely insane. He received tons of national coverage, and we still got crushed by dark money. Get real. I say this as someone who worked their ass off trying to get Abdul the nomination and had and still have a lot of issues with some of Whitmer's tactics and campaign financing, but all voting is strategic. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to force a response, but will you be doing a response video to Dave? I mean, I watched his video, so my guys will cut that up into something, but like a formal one? No. One of the issues and the annoying things with a lot of like Israeli or anti-Israeli propaganda is that the people that are doing the propaganda, they're not really like, it's not like an actual, here's like an analysis of the country, here's how they conduct themselves, and these are the things I disagree with. It's usually just like rapid fire slop clips of like sad or bad stories, some of which are clearly not true. And then others of which are just actual bad things that are happening, and sometimes like unhinged, crazy Israelis saying bad shit that they shouldn't be. But I mean, like, you could play the same game by the other side as well, and just like, oh, well, here's all the clips of Hamas and Haniyeh and Sinwar and everybody else saying like crazy fucking unhinged shit. But obviously they get mad when you do that with the Palestinians, but they don't get mad when you do it with Israelis, I guess.
And I mean, quite frankly,
this guy?
I think America's kind of getting lapped. My big fear as an American is having these robots ultimately used by my government.
Hey, if you want to destroy the left right now, you have an obligation to find every single video that this guy has ever done and comment and glaze the fuck out of him. Holy shit. This is the brains behind Hasan. Holy shit, this is the guy who's given Hasan all of his great talking points and everything. Oh my God, why aren't we? This guy's like the best Hasan. Oh my God. And I guarantee you that Hasan will backstab him. Guaranteed. 1,000,000,000%. He'll lose his fucking mind.
And against us. But hey, here in China, they're meant for dancing. You got robots waving the flag of China, celebrating the glorious technological achievements of this wonderful nation.
That is so funny to see. Even the robots here in China are patriotic. I think it is very emblematic of China taking the state-run method of trying to build out future technology, whereas the United States has largely delegated that responsibility to private investors who are largely risk-averse. And I think that is still going to play out probably tenfold in terms of AI, where you can very cheaply now make a software model, whereas making hardware to go alongside it, that takes a lot of capital. I feel like in the United States, and I think the West more broadly, people are very skeptical, very hesitant of AI. And then you come here to China, people are very eager. They're very excited. They see AI as a tool for, in many ways, liberation, to move them beyond the chains of their day-to-day work and their jobs that are so tedious in many ways.
Then they really never have to work
folks
again.
in the West don't really see it that way. And I think it really boils down to how people view the state control over the technology that either makes their lives better or, puts them in position.
The reality is that in China, they don't have people constantly telling them in all parts of their media every single fucking day that all technology is evil and all corporations are evil and all the government is evil. So they actually feel a little bit more optimistic about technological innovation in their country.